The following is a presentation of NBC Sports, network of the games of the 25th Olympiad.
Next on NFL Live.
Everybody in Western New York doesn't like me, so that's fine. I can live with that.
Bruce Smith is honest and outspoken. We'll bring you our conversation with the Bills' outstanding defensive end. Elway scrambles, throws, has a man. They've got it. It's Johnson down the sideline.
We'll take a look back at the drama of yesterday's playoff thriller between the Oilers and the Broncos.
I'm just thankful that it happened the way it happened. I think that as a football player, you go out and you just play hard and hope that those good things happen like they happened today.
John Elway once again comes up big in the playoffs, and he'll join us to talk about yesterday's heroics next on NFL Live. Rich Stadium just outside Buffalo is the site for today's AFC Divisional playoff between the Bills and the Chiefs. The usual sellout crowd, in excess of 80,000, will be in place for the kickoff a half hour from now. The winner moves on to face Denver in next Sunday's AFC Championship. The temperature right now at Rich Stadium is a mild 40 degrees. No rain, but they do expect some before the day is over. Winds are light, which figures to favor the Bills and their passing game.
I just pray to God we win His will. Jim has a good game.
Is Bill going to win today?
And there is Jim Kelly, AFC's top-rated passer, arriving an hour and a half ago, heading into Rich Stadium. Next man you'll see, his opposite number, Steve DeBerg, big year last year, inconsistent this season, back in after the injury to Mark Vlasic. He'll have to contend with Bruce Smith. We'll see plenty of him today and also have a feature about him on the pregame show. Well, hi, everybody. Bob Costas along with Bill Parcells and Will McDonough. O.J. and Paul McGuire will join us from Buffalo in just a moment. The Bills are big favorites today over Kansas City. Perhaps a bit surprising considering that the Chiefs crushed the Bills earlier this year on a Monday night by the score of 33-6. Both coaches have tried their best to downplay the Week 6 rout, but the players remember.
It's been in the back of their minds all year long, hoping and anticipation that this showdown would occur like this, knowing they're going to have the home field advantage and getting a chance at the team that beat them so badly earlier.
We got whooped on Monday Night Football, and now we get a chance to come back and try to beat them on a more important game.
I'm not saying they don't respect us, but it's a point where we feel we have to prove to ourselves that, that wasn't a hoax before.
In that first meeting, Kansas City rushed for 247 yards and handed Buffalo its first loss of the year. But the Bills played without their key defensive linemen, Jeff Wright and Bruce Smith. They're back in the lineup today.
We got our players back, and we're a different team right now. And I think right now we have the advantage because at the end of the year, we were playing good football.
Kansas City sacked Kelly 6 times on that Monday night. Derek Thomas had 4 himself. Thomas missed the second half of last week's wild card win over the Raiders with an accelerated heart rate, but the Chiefs say he's fine for today's rematch.
As it turns out, it's not a real serious matter, and we're glad to hear that, obviously, because we certainly need him for our best effort on Sunday against Buffalo.
So Derek Thomas should be at full strength today. For the latest updates, we go to Rich Stadium, where O.J. Simpson and Paul McGuire are roaming the sidelines. And let's begin with the juice.
Well, Bob, as far as Buffalo's concerned, they're pretty excited. He said he practiced all week. I asked him, was he 100%? He said, O.J., I wasn't 100% before I got hurt. Don Beebe, who hasn't played since mid-season because of broken collarbone, he practiced this week. He will start. Buffalo Bills look like they're going to start with 3 wide receivers, and both of those guys will be in there. You know, in a game like this, a coach will use just about anything to motivate his team. Well, for Kansas City, they've been using yours truly last night and the day to motivate that team. It seems that they took exception to my interview with John Elway after the game when I asked him how did he feel about playing Buffalo next week. So many of the Kansas City players have told me this morning that if they win this game, that I would get the game ball. So that story on the Buffalo side of the field. Paul, what is it that our former Buffalo Bill teammate Marty Schottenheimer have up his sleeve for this day's game?
Thank you, O.J. I had a chance earlier to talk to Marty Schottenheimer, and I asked him, minus some defensive linebackers, I mean, what would he have to do to win against this wonderful Buffalo offense?
Well, you know, we've lost Percy Snow early in the year and managed to overcome that. Lost Chris Martin and Tracy Rogers last week. You want to come out of retirement?
To do what?
Well, no huddle. You've been around here. I'm sure you've scouted their practice. You know everything they're going to do. Your experience would be invaluable to us today.
Yeah, and I could have another heart attack. Marty, but defensively, what is the biggest key for you? What do you have to stop?
Well, I think it all begins with Thurman. I mean, to me, he's the key to the offense, and that's not with any disrespect to Jim and the receiving corps, but I think that Thurman's the guy that makes the offense go. If you let him run the ball effectively against you, you're really going to be in trouble because then they can deal with both edges of the sword. And then in the passing game, the thing that we've stressed is you've got to tackle a guy when he catches it. They're going to throw and catch it. A lot of the intermediate type passing, if you can get on them when they catch it and keep them from advancing it with yardage after the catch, I think then you got a chance.
And Robert, one other thing that Marty Schottenheimer wanted me to convey to you and to NBC, and especially O.J. Simpson. He wants to thank him especially for inspiring his football team. Okay, back to you, Bobby.
All right, Paul, thanks a lot. Paul looks wide awake for the early Sunday start, doesn't he?
Yeah, he sure does.
What do you think about today?
Well, I talked to Bruce Cosler of the Jet this week, Bob, and I asked him, how do you try to beat Buffalo? He said, well, Will, what you have to do is limit the number of times the Bills get the football in a game. If you can keep them to 8 or 9 possessions, you got a great chance. If you let them get up around 11 or 12, you don't have much of a chance at all.
I imagine anybody preparing for the Bills this year gave extra study to the Super Bowl films because you did the very thing everyone's talked about. You kept the ball for 40 minutes in the game.
Well, I think just what Will said there, Kansas City will try to control the Buffalo offense with their own offense, which is basically inside the tackles, run with Okoye and Word, play action passes. Now, the change-up guy, Williams, could threaten the perimeter, something that Kansas City hasn't had too much of with Williams' injury in recent weeks. So look for him wide if they use him.
Okay, time for us to step aside for just a moment. But up next, we'll take a look back at yesterday's remarkable game in Denver. And we'll be joined live by John Elway as NFL Live continues.
NFL Live is brought to you by Subaru, it's what to drive. By Pringles, so fresh, once you pop, you can't stop. And by Alamo, there are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo territory. And with Alamo, all those miles are free.
So the Denver Broncos know all about last-second heroics in the AFC playoffs. Still, yesterday's comeback against the Oilers ranks among the best and merits an appreciative look back at the late afternoon heroics at Mile High. Okay, one worth remembering before we talk with John Elway. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, Elway should be remembered for that game, but we shouldn't forget Warren Moon. He gets into Denver, supposed to be the toughest place to play in the conference, against the #1 rated defense, throws for 325 yards, 3 touchdowns, and in the end, Moon only ran out of time.
Yesterday in that drive, the 2 fourth-down situations, that is as tough a pressure level as it gets to be in the NFL, and you're judged by who's standing at the end. The Broncos are standing. John Elway's the leader.
Let's get inside that drive. John, you got the ball with just over 2 minutes to go at your 2-yard line, as was the case in not an identical but similar situation in Cleveland 5 years ago. At the 2, 98 yards away, no timeouts left in this situation. Take us inside the huddle during that drive. What did it feel like?
Well, I tell you what, we're running on the field, and first of all, when I ran on the field, I said, boy, what a great punt, because that was the first time we'd punted all day, and really was a great punt. And once we got on the field, I tell you what, things were going so fast. With no timeouts, you really don't have any time to think. So we got in the huddle and just said, let's go do the best we can. And once we got rolling, boy, it was just no stopping.
Just before the 4th and 6, the one you converted on the scramble, Michael Young gets hurt. So that acts almost as a timeout. Just before the 4th and 10, the big completion to Vance Johnson, Houston calls a timeout and maybe inadvertently helps you. So maybe those were key points in the drive.
Well, there's no question. Without any timeouts, we don't like to see Michael Young get hurt, but I guess he got a knee in the thigh, and then with the new rule where they take the 10 seconds off the clock, so they took 10 off there, but it really kind of gave us a chance to regroup, and then their timeout before 4th and 10 really gave us a chance to go over and talk about it and get the best play called in that situation. So both those situations really helped us.
I don't mean to put you in a spot where you have to be immodest, but when I talked to you last week, we made the point that although statistically this hasn't been your best season perhaps, your ability to make the play, sometimes an improvisational play in a key moment in a close game, is what sets you apart from most quarterbacks, and that's what you were able to do yesterday.
Well, I appreciate that, and we did. We got the, you know, you get in those type games and you get in situations like that where you get one last shot and you can really kind of throw everything out the window, and it's really making the plays and getting the job done, and that's however it takes to get it done. Just get it done. It doesn't matter what it looks like as long as you get it done.
Because you had scrambled on 4th and 6 for the first down to keep the drive going, and because of your running ability, which has been well known for years, Richard Johnson, the cornerback for Houston, came up on you on that 4th and 10. He thought you were going to run. Maybe with another quarterback, he stays back and Vance Johnson isn't as open.
That's true, and it was almost the exact same situation in the pocket where I stepped up through it, and Sean Jones had given me some pressure from the backside and was at my feet, and I stepped up the exact same way both times. The first time I ran it, and then the next time when I stepped up, Johnson really came off the corner, and Vance did a great job of turning his route up, and I was able to get in the ball.
Very briefly, last question here, John. What did you and Warren Moon say to each other as you embraced at the end of the game?
We just said, hey, I told him, I said, great game. It's too bad someone had to lose this, but I'll see you in about 3 weeks, and we'll have some fun in Hawaii. So that's all about, that was all that was said.
John, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you before next week's game. And by the way, okay, something worth noting. Gary Kubiak with the great job of getting that low snap down and getting it in a place where David Treadwell could kick the winning field goal. Now, up next, OJ's visit with Buffalo's Bruce Smith, the defensive end who played in only 5 games this year following preseason knee surgery. But he's back, and we're back in a moment. All right, back in Week 6, when the Bills were crushed by the Chiefs, Buffalo was without last year's Defensive Player of the Year, Bruce Smith. He missed 11 games this season after arthroscopic surgery on his knee. Still not 100%, but he is back.
I won't say that the Buffalo Bills couldn't win a championship, but I would say it'd be a much better chance with me being on the field.
Total and complete destruction from the right side. Bruce Smith.
This is the old Bruce Smith, the self-proclaimed best defensive player in the league. And who can argue with him? 4 trips to the Pro Bowl. But this is the Bruce Smith we saw most of this year. An injured knee kept him out of 11 games, and he's still not 100% healed.
The physical part, my understanding that I couldn't go out there because I was an injured player. I could handle that, so to speak, but mentally it just kind of screwed me all up.
It's no secret that the media, they start questioning your fortitude, I guess. You even got some negative mail. Did that hurt you? Did that, confuse you at all?
Yeah. After being one of the few players that was here in Buffalo when we were 2-14, and one of the pioneers to help turn this program around, it really hurt me to see that I had received some negative, I won't say negative because I'll say what it is, some racial fan mail. And, you know, the sad part about it, it's taught in the homes. It's handed down from generation to generation.
The majority of the fans still looked up to Smith, the player and the man. But rumors began circulating that he was out of uniform because he was back in treatment for drug abuse. Smith was suspended from the NFL in 1988 for substance abuse.
Can you clear the air about any drug dealing or anything like that with you? No. No. There's nothing to clear. I resent your bringing it up. It's wrong of you to bring it up. You have anything substantial? Anything? Then why do you bring it up? Why do you bring it up?
I started hearing the rumors, and my teammates, and although we'd laugh and joke about them, it really started to piss me off. So I went up and I even talked to Mr. Wilson about it. And then I went and talked to Bill Polian and Marv Levy. I just told them I wanted to leave Buffalo. I wanted to be traded because I really didn't feel that people were appreciating what I was doing on the field for them and off the field as well. And that was very hurtful and upsetting to me, but it lets me know that everybody in Western New York doesn't like me. So that's fine. I can live with that.
Smith didn't always have the ability to put things in perspective like he does now. He gives most of the credit to his wife, Carmen. She helped change his lifestyle.
Can you forgive the people who put you through all of this aggravation?
Well, I can forgive, but I won't forget.
Well, you know, Bruce, when I spoke to him, he said he's about really 95% back now. That would be good if he was playing against a passing team. I think in pass rushing, you're light on your feet, you're going for quickness. He's probably can pass rush up to 95% of his normal ability. Unfortunately, today he's going against a running team where you have to dig in there, and I think now he probably can play the run up to about 70% of his ability, and I think he would much rather see a team like a Houston where he can pass rush than a team like this Kansas City team where he's going to have to dig in there and stop the run. Bobby?
All right, Juice, how about last year when he made the proclamation? Lawrence Taylor used to be the #1 guy, but now I'm the top defensive player in the league. Did that cause any stir in the Giant locker room?
I think there was a little sensitivity. You know, it's like you take care of your own guys, and I think the players were a little offended by that. But particularly the guy that was responsible for playing against Bruce Smith in the game, primarily John Elliott, who coincidentally lockered right next to Lawrence Taylor, and they were kind of pals. So I'm pretty certain John didn't want Bruce to be too visible.
And how did Elliott grade out against Smith?
Graded out pretty well.
All right. Well, a reminder, at halftime today, we'll look back at the last time the Bills and Chiefs met in the postseason, 25 years ago, when they played for the championship of the old AFL. Marty Schottenheimer then was a backup linebacker and special teams player for Buffalo. We're back to wrap up this edition of NFL Live right after this.
Starting for the Bills on defense. At left
Buffalo defense being introduced. Let's eavesdrop briefly here.
Seal. The nose tackle from Central Missouri, number 91, Jeff Wright. Number 97.
Kickoff about 5 minutes away. We turn it over to Dick Enberg and Bill Walsh after these messages.
A luxury car says a lot about its owner.
Mine says I'm witty beyond belief.
Mine says I'm more Europeanish.
Mine says I'm the product of superior genes.
A luxury car says
I'm so successful I can go into debt.
I'm much more handsome. Cosmopolitan.
Another pathetic sheep following the herd.
Says a lot. I'm irresistible.
Powerful.
Stylish. Sexy.
Dynamic.
The all-wheel drive Subaru Legacy. All it says is that you bought a great car and you can still pay your mortgage.
Spot in the air. It's got the distance. No good!
Last year, the Buffalo Bills came within a foot of winning their first Super Bowl title. Since that climactic moment, the Bills have been steadfast in their dedication to be home for the playoffs and return to the Super Bowl. Who could question the determination and toughness of Jim Kelly? Injured against Miami, Green Bay, and Indianapolis, he returned each time to play with pain and win. Who could question the desire of Thurman Thomas, who handled the ball a third of the Bills' offensive plays, produced, endured, and earned the NFL's most valuable player? With Thomas running and Kelly guiding a relentless hurry-up offense, Buffalo has built a record of 13 wins, only 3 losses. Their worst defeat was to their opponent today, the Kansas City Chiefs. Back in October, the Chiefs ground out a convincing 33-6 victory with 260-pound Christian Okoye leading a running attack that held the ball for 3/4 of the game. For the past month, Kansas City's workhorse has been Barry Word with 3 straight 100-yard games. Can the Chiefs continue to use their bruising ground game to eat yards and clock as the Giants did to beat the Bills for last year's NFL title? Or will the scoring-rich Bills maintain their march toward their Super Bowl dream?
NBC Sports presents the National Football League. Today, it's the AFC Divisional Playoff, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Buffalo Bills.
It's all about the Super Bowl and a sellout of 80,000 enthusiastic fans at Rich Stadium, Orchard Park, New York, and their collective voices here to help Buffalo avenge that mid-season beating the Bills took in Kansas City. The weather ideal, temperature in the high 30s, cloudy. They say there could be showers later on. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this AFC playoff game. The winner gets the Denver Broncos, as you well know. The Kansas City Chiefs arrived by plane yesterday here in Buffalo. En route, Marty Schottenheimer allowed them to watch a film. It wasn't Gone with the Wind or The Godfather or Beauty and the Beast. It was the Monday night game when the Buffalo Bills, the team to beat, unbeaten, took a thrashing from Kansas City, and the Chiefs coaches and players enjoyed that 6 sack performance and 5 turnovers and the domination on the ground, over 250 yards in rushing. And so that is his preparation, the positive preparation for Kansas City coming to Buffalo, the team with the best AFC record, 13-3, and with that, of course, earning home field advantage. Joining us now with this playoff game face on, Bill Walsh. Indeed, Buffalo at home as long as they win.
Believe me, the noise, the deafening, consuming noise of these playoff games, you can't think clearly. As a coach, I couldn't think clearly. They're even going to have to use hand signals, so the tables have turned. Now Kansas City can't expect those turnovers. They're going to have to come in here and prove they're a better team than the Bills.
Well, and Buffalo did not have Jeff Wright and Bruce Smith in that defensive line to stop the run in Kansas City. They're back, and both coaches are talking, both coaches, about stopping the run.
Well, both teams are right at the top of the ladder run-wise. Kansas City in its own way, but the Bills using their really a 20-second no-huddle offense with Thurman Thomas carrying that ball consistently. So believe me, the run is important. My opinion, an old passing coach, sooner or later, DeBerg or Kelly are going to hit a couple of big ones, and that's going to make the difference.
The Bills won the toss and will receive. And Buffalo, with that no-huddle, quick-striking offense, 41 times, they've scored in less than 3 minutes and 8 times in as little as 60 seconds. And they'd like very much to get the early lead against this Kansas City team that likes to run out the clock. Veteran Nick Lowry to kick it off. Al Edwards and Kenneth Davis deep for Buffalo. This enthusiastic, noisy crowd on its feet as we're underway. Lowry, with the wind at his back, sends it to Edwards, who takes the touchback. Jim Kelly brings out his offense. Kelly, the #1 ranked passer in the NFL last year, 3 this year. Wolford, Richard, Hall, Parker, Ballard to protect him and open the holes for Thurman Thomas, the NFL's most valuable player this year. Don Beebe back from a broken collarbone. The veteran James Lofton, Andre Reed in the 3 wide out offense. Keith McKellar, the tight end. When they go to 4, Al Edwards replaces the tight end. Kelly basically calling his own plays. He got a quick shot of Lofton. He's a big play man. His record in the playoffs, non-Pharrell. He's isolated on Kevin Ross. They go on the ground, flag down before the snap, and apparently against Buffalo. That gives us a chance to talk about the defense of the Kansas City Chiefs, and let's introduce them now.
Kansas City is going to start right out in what you'd call a nickel defense. They're going to have two linebackers concentrating on Thurman Thomas. A lot of single coverage out here with, of course, Cherry down the middle. But the key will be stopping Thomas, double-teaming him, bracketing him when he's a pass receiver. Otherwise, 4 pass rushers.
And 51 and 55, not necessarily national names. Lonnie Martz and Irvin Randall are playing those positions. The throw underneath is to the tight end, McKellar, who takes a whack from Randall, a 256-pounder from Baylor.
Yeah, they're going to simply play people like Martz and Randall who can cover ground. This is an open field game. The slower, tougher, more physical players aren't necessarily going to be the key players.
Lloyd Burris, who is playing in essence a linebacker position, not his usual safety because of the shortage of linebackers by injury for Kansas City, gets nicked the first play.
He's going to be right here, and you're going to see him in on the tackle. This is Burris in good position. Now he's going to attack McKellar right there. Couldn't see much. Hard to say. Could very well have been a shoulder landing underneath McKellar.
Lloyd Burris, the veteran, and this is just what Marty Schottenheimer's club can ill afford. They're already shy with the injuries last week to starter Chris Martin and his backup Tracy Rogers. 2 of those out with serious knee injuries. And Burris was being used as a big safety in that linebacker position, especially in the nickel and dime defenses. So Kevin Porter comes in. Eric Everett also in the defensive backfield now for Kansas City. Underneath again to McKellar, a gain of 5. J.C. Pearson from the secondary, and it was Randall again, the linebacker.
They're just going to have to throw to Keller, until Randall or Martz come up and stop making plays prematurely almost. Then the ball is going to go in behind him to Beebe, in behind him to Reed.
3rd and 4, and the give to Thomas, and they don't read it quickly enough. Lonnie Martz had a piece of him at the 28, but Thomas kicked free, and with those great feet, charges for the first down.
A quick snap to Thomas, and a trap from Parker, breaking to his left, trapping. Beautiful draw trap, but a direct snap.
First down with that no huddle. They get the ball back and play in a hurry, and it's Thomas for 4 yards in the grasp of nose tackle Dan Saliamua.
Even tough for us to get to stay. When you think of those guys on the field, that Kansas City defense are getting signals from the sideline from Bill Cowher. Each player, they're not worrying about one man making the call. All are looking over to him, getting an individual call themselves.
Kelly with pressure on, gets it away, incomplete. J.C. Pearson on the coverage, no flag. Fans thought it was a premature hit on Andre Reed. Derek Thomas pressuring Kelly.
Bill Cowher, the defensive coordinator, is going to make a universal signal to everyone on the defense. There's a signal from right below us. Everyone on the defense looks for it, not just one man. That's Bill. Everybody has to see it. No one's counting on someone else calling a defensive signal on the field.
It's Thomas on the handoff, and he is hit by Derek Thomas shy of the first down at the 39-yard line. So the Chiefs have held, and Buffalo brings on the punting team with kicker Chris Moore.
Derek Thomas rendered as a defensive lineman, a pass rusher, unable to do some of the other things as a linebacker he normally does. He has to just rush the passer today to be right up on that line of scrimmage.
Chris Moore doesn't kick often for distance, but hangs them high in his net. He has a 38-6 overall, but 36 net. And at the other end, veteran Troy Stratford, got to watch the wind, played tricks in practice. Stratford to the 20, the 25, and to the 28-yard line. Tackle made by Mark Pike, and we have our first time up. Reminding themselves in Buffalo how important that home field advantage is, and Kansas City's offense will hear a lot of noise. Hall, he'll be asked to block Bruce Smith one-on-one. Zod, Grunard, Lutz, Graham, the offensive line. DeBerg, the veteran quarterback. Jones, the blocker. Word, the ball carrier. Thomas and Barnett, the rookie wide receivers. Word and Hayes go out when they bring in the 4 wide, and it's Emil Harry and J.J. Burton.
DeBerg to Word, and he gains with his power. And second effort out to the 32-yard line. DeBerg barely able to get that handoff to his runner.
I think he caught Grunhard's knee as he went. There's his foot. They stepped. Now, this is really always a problem. It's something you drill and drill in quarterbacks. Get that right foot out of the way fast, and Steve's foot caught with Tim Grunhard's, and it could have been trouble.
A gain of 4. The Word is drilled by Cornelius Bennett.
Bennett from the outside came right around the corner. He got there before the play started. He's going to go right down inside to the ball. Now, I can't believe that Jonathan Hayes shouldn't have blocked him there, because Cornelius, with his quickness, can get to any I formation play coming down that line of scrimmage. They have to cut him off.
Cornelius Bennett, who was at Alabama 2 years ahead of Derek Thomas. 2 Crimson Tide linebackers are stars on their respective defenses today. DeBerg out of the shotgun on 3rd and 6. He dumps it off to Todd McNair. McNair has a first down at the 41-yard line.
Well, that was a great job of open field running by McNair. It was simply one-on-one. McNair was the outlet receiver.
And Bill, look at DeBerg. He almost had Bennett pick it off from the backside.
Bennett's all the way around the corner. But watch DeBerg's poise finally outside to McNair. And look, oh, beautiful shot of missing Odoms. Odoms misses him. But now watch Bennett all the way around. Is he fast?
Oh, did DeBerg just pull it away in time? DeBerg was looking for the Statue of Liberty handoff. It's Word now plowing for a couple out to the 43-yard line. Jeff Wright, who did not play in Kansas City after having a serious knee injury in the opener against Miami. Here's the front three: Seals, Wright, and Bruce Smith. He's not 100%. Admitted that. Depressed. Bennett, Conlon, Bailey, and Talley. Terrific foursome at backer for Buffalo, perhaps their strength. Jackson and Odoms at the corner. Smith and Kelso are the safeties.
Speed. People talk of great speed in the front 7 of Buffalo, but just fair speed in that secondary. Just fair speed in the secondary.
It's Word again, picking his way across the 45, short yardage. Carlton Bailey, number 54, first to make the hit. Barry Word from the University of Virginia, rushed for over 1,000 yards last year. He goes out on 3rd down. That means Todd McNair in. He didn't play much the first 11 games, got only 60 carries for 214 yards, told us he was really depressed. He had to talk to himself to stay up. And then with the injuries to the rookie Harvey Williams and Christian Okoye, Word got his chance. He's been terrific. Last 3 games, nearly 400 yards for Word.
At one point, Word was the scout team running back.
Flag down. No play. It is no play. Movement in the offensive line before the snap. It was the right tackle, Derek Graham.
Derek was very, very anxious. He's
number 74
sitting there in front of Bennett.
Before the snap.
Now, Graham is responsible, basically, to handle Cornelius Bennett. And Bennett can do anything with that quickness. And so at this point, he wanted to get position very, very quickly, and he got it obviously very, very quickly. Too quickly. But getting back to Barry Word, 3rd string running scout team plays most of the year before a 1,000-yard rusher. Boy, and what a difference right now. He's 100% healthy, and he can be a key factor when he gets back out on that field.
3rd down, a long 10 from the 40. DeBerg down the middle, incomplete, intended for Rob Teams. Williams broke it up. Fred Jones was the intended receiver, and the Bills applaud their defense.
Derek Graham did a fine job on Bennett that time, and so Graham may be up to the chore. But Derek Graham's going to have to work. Bennett's having the best year of his career. Watching him play, he's doing everything this year, living up to all the expectations they had anticipated when they drafted him or when they traded for him.
As the second pick of the draft behind Testaverde. Nice kick by Parker. Hangs it up into that wind. Clifford hits at the 12. 20. 30. And to the 32 goes Clifford Hicks. Tackled by Kevin Porter. Buffalo with the ball. Timeout, 8:22 left in the opening quarter.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Saturn, a different kind of company, a different kind of car. By Coors Light, the Silver Bullet is the right beer now. By John Newbean and Company, quality tax-free investment since 1898. And by the U.S. Army, learn how to get an edge on life. Be all you can be.
Back at Rich Stadium, and Lloyd Burris is back. Poked in the eye. He's okay. That was an 18-yard punt return by Clifford Hicks to position the Bills at their own 32. No score. 8:22 left for Spurrier. Thurman Thomas escapes Derek Thomas. And then Randall and Pearson there to collaborate on the stop.
Derek Thomas was so intent on getting up the field that he actually ran past the ball carrier. You see that? That quickness really hurt him in that particular case. But, of course, he had to back up people in Randall making the play. If he can penetrate and he can disrupt the play, he's going to be great all day.
On 2nd and 8 underneath to Andre Reed, who's so tough after catching the ball, and he has enough for first down.
Again, Dick, both linebackers, Marsh and Randall, getting depth in the zone, ready to respond, and then the ball's quickly thrown in front of them. You'll see them both drop into a zone, set there in beautiful shape. Now the ball's thrown so nicely by Kelly, so nicely that Reed catches it between them.
What a player, Reed. 469 catches in just 7 years. That was stuffed as there was no place at all, and Bill Moss was there on the back of Thurman Thomas, who ran into big Irvin Randall, and Moss from the backside makes the stop for a loss of about 2.5.
Now Moss will really help on any running play. He's such a load, he's going to take the head right off those blockers as he goes down to the inside. So that part of it's fine. It's a matter of getting to Kelly.
All 4 defensive linemen charged. Let's see if they were drawn.
It could have been a movement by the center. It had to be something offensively.
Encroachment, defense, number 63.
So 5 yards against Kansas City. They chose to pick Moss, but it could have gone against any of the front 4.
I'll tell you what else is happening, Dick. Derek Thomas is playing on the right side. He's playing on the left side. They're moving him around. They're not counting defensively to have any single front that will work.
Long shot for Lofton is too long. Burris had come over from safety to help out Eric Everett. Well covered was Lofton, the veteran who is just a handful of yards away from breaking Steve Larchen's mark for most total yards receiving, over 13,000. Would have done it, but was injured the last couple games of the regular season. A foot sprain. Of course, the numbers accumulated in the playoffs don't go toward that total. That's a whole separate record keeping. Now Edwards in for Buffalo on 3rd and 8. And it's complete to Andre Reed. First down at the Kansas City 43.
As soon as you get in that one-on-one situation and Reed's coming from the inside breaking out, it's so tough. Now this time they went with a blitz, but Reed on his outbreak is going to be there all day. And it looks as though he might have sprained his ankle as he was tackled. There he is. Yeah, he twisted his ankle.
First down, first visit into Kansas City territory. Thurman Thomas drawing a huge Kansas City crowd.
Well, that was great defense. Deron Cherry was right in the middle of it from a safety position. And what you need to do, of course, with Thomas is gang tackle. You want to corral him. Is what you're after.
Cherry, what a game against the Raiders in that 10-6 win at Arrowhead last week. He had 8 tackles, 2 interceptions, led the Kansas City in tackles on the year. Oops, down goes Jim Kelly, tripped from behind by Derek Thomas, who had been blocked behind Kelly, but was able, as he fell, to reach out, get a piece of his foot.
Well, between Derek Thomas and Cornelius Bennett, you're seeing 2 of the greatest athletes in the NFL. Greatest all-around athletes, no question about it. They've got everything, size and quickness. and beautiful agility. Just beautiful to see it.
Thomas had 4 sacks in the win against the Bills in Kansas City early October. 3rd and long. And Kelly goes long. Beebe can't quite catch up. Just back after being sidelined for nearly half the season with a fractured collarbone. In fact, that announcement wasn't made till this morning that he would play. So Buffalo gets to the Kansas City 42, then the sack, and now they'll have to punt it.
Well, at this point, you'd have to give positive marks to Kansas City, Dick. They've really held their own, and on occasion, far too often, playoff games, excitement, teams become a little unraveled to start a game, then collect themselves. So far, Kansas City's been fine.
Chris Moore, a beautiful high spiral that takes a Buffalo bounce, almost touched one of the Chiefs, and finally his touchdown may have been touched by a Chief with that scramble. Let's see. The flag is down, or it could be a cap to mark the spot. I believe they're going to mark it at the 15-yard line. That was where it was first touched by a Buffalo special teams player.
Well, thus far, if the Chiefs take over on the 15, you'd have to say they get the best marks because they're standing in to the pressure of the crowd, pressure of the situation, and the mystique of the Bills in this stadium.
Personal foul, number 99, Buffalo. After the play was over.
Al Garner, second in special team tackles for Buffalo on the year, behind Steve Tasker, who's on his way to the Pro Bowl because he's regarded by his fellow players as the best. Gets the penalty, does Garner, 99. So the 15-yard penalty, a break for Kansas City. When we return, the Chiefs will start not from deep, but out at their own 31. Welcome back to Buffalo. 5 minutes plus left in the opening quarter. Andre Reed, good news for Buffalo. It's an ankle, but not serious. He's expected to return on the next Bills possession. From the 31, Kansas City, second possession. DeBerg almost intercepted by Bennett. Cornelius had drifted back, and that play seemed to be in trouble from the snap.
I believe it was Shane Conlon blitzed unblocked. Dave Lutz didn't block him. Now Bennett's on the outside, and you'll see him in coverage, and the ball just happens to come his way. If he had have expected a pass about then, he could have intercepted it, but you don't throw a pass there. But meanwhile, Shane Conlon just blitzed untouched. There he comes, right to the ball, and it was really tough for Word to pick him off that quickly.
Conlon leading the Bills in tackles this year, and he thought he should have returned to the Pro Bowl, but Talley got the spot. That's Harvey Williams, who was sensational the first 2/3 of the season. The rookie from Louisiana State. Conlon made the stop. Williams a lot bigger than he looks in uniform. He looks long and lanky. He's got huge legs and 222 pounds. So all the backs for Kansas City are big. Okoye 260, Word 240, and Williams over 220.
Now Williams has that explosive speed. Word is fast, Word is strong, but Williams is absolutely scintillating with that quickness.
Third, it's a long 2, closer to 3. DeBerg dumps it off to Rob Thomas, a little wide receiver. He dances and then gets the first down, I believe. Flags are down at the 41-yard line.
Well, he was bracketed by at least 4 people. Sort of an ill-advised throw by Steve DeBerg. He wasn't going to get the first down with that throw unless he got lucky.
Number 61, offense, assisting the runner.
Yeah.
Tim Grunner, the second-year center from Notre Dame, trying to help out little Rob Thomas to get that first down.
Well, the ball was thrown right at the line of scrimmage, and he needed all the help he can get. Look how he's bracketed. He's make 1, 2, 3 people miss. And look at this. Oh, gee.
What do you call it? How do you draw that up?
With that experience, he's got 2 years in the NFL, and he's in a playoff game. He's got to think clearly about things like that. It's obvious that that's not going to work.
So
that would be interesting if they started allowing that.
And poor Rob Thomas at 175. He's got half the Buffalo team at one end and Grunner pulling from the other.
Make a wish. Gee.
They're going to measure first to see if it's a first down, and apparently from the spot it is short, and thereby would decline the penalty. If it is a first down, they'll take the penalty.
Well, that had to be pretty darn good coverage downfield by the Bills, because DeBerg finally coming to Thomas behind the line bracketed like that. That was a no-hope pass.
Pat Haggerty's our referee.
Assisting the runner. Decline. Fourth down.
Yeah. Fourth down and a yard to go for the first down at the 40. You saw Marv Lee was trying to tell Bruce Smith and Cornelius Bennett to decline the penalty, and of course defensive linemen, they hate to do that. They want to push you, keep pushing that team back and hope they can tee off on a pass play.
Well, thus far we haven't spent all our time on Cornelius Bennett, but we'll get back to him. Is he quick? Is he moving today? He's all over the field.
Brian Barker from Santa Clara to punt it. End over end. That's returnable. Oh, what a hit at the 20-yard line by little Fred Jones, the outside receiver. Oh, that was a solid piece of contact. Timeout. 4:17 left in the opening quarter.
The experience of buying a $60,000 car is, to say the least, different. You get to walk around a showroom without looking over your shoulder. Nobody makes you have a conversation you really don't want to have. And you're given all the time you need to make your decision. It's a pretty nice way to shop for an automobile. And it feels even better when the car you're looking at costs around $12,000.
Playoff games, no sacks, but sacks alone do not testify as to the talent of the player. He's wearing 97 now and has for a couple of years. As a rookie, was 55, and then he learned that was Paul McGuire's number in Buffalo, said, I'll take something else. So 97 it is. First down from the 20. No score, and Kelly over the middle, complete. James Lofton, 15 yards. Deron Cherry, the tackler.
Lofton just spread it inside and hooked. Kelly did a nice job of coming to his left, pivoting and throwing. But this is Lofton's speed, and then way up in the air, that big, powerful body. This guy's been able to play so many years and really hasn't appeared to slow down at all.
Herman Thomas, submarines for 2 or 3, and this is Cherry again, along with Neil Smith on the tackle.
Now, Cherry will be all over the field. After last week's game against the Raiders, he's playing his best football after 11 years in the leagues, and he's one of the smartest players in football. This is a guy that knows the other offense as well as the opposing coach. There he is.
On cue to greet Keith McKellar after a short gain. It'll be shy of the first down by a couple.
They're really varying their coverages. That time, Deron Cherry had McKellar, the tight end. He sat back disguising it, then exploded up when the ball was thrown. So among other things, the Chiefs are going to try to disguise their coverage so Kelly can't, well, that's not going to work.
Derek Thomas trying to get the jump, and of course that was one of the advantages in the first game in Kansas City. There was so much noise, and with that shotgun, Kelly had to snap the ball in the first sound. Thomas knew it, and as soon as he heard a sound, he was beating the offensive line off the ball.
58.
The other thing, Dick, Thomas is playing on the opposite side of normal. That time he was lined up on the left side, coming off that side, and it could very well be by his stance he can't see the ball as well. So what Kansas City's trying to do is put Thomas from side to side, put Neil Smith from side to side, and vary their coverage. And they've had reasonable results.
And offside gives Buffalo the first down, and Thurman Thomas get right at the 50-yard line. Neil Smith appears to have injured a wrist in making the tackle. He's really writhing in pain.
That wouldn't help. And that does look like it's going to be painful enough he's going to have to come out. Looked like a wrist.
Smith, who was voted to the Pro Bowl this year, his first time a #1 pick from Nebraska. He was the second player picked, in fact, in 1988 behind Andre Bruce, Atlanta's choice.
He's got 8 sacks, and he would be a factor. I'm not sure they can really replace him. Apparently, during the tackle itself, something gets caught up underneath.
Lands on the left elbow.
Left elbow, yeah. Now, they're moving Smith around from right to left. This is the first time I've seen it. Maybe people that follow the Chiefs every week have seen it. But Smith's played both left and right defensive end Derek Thomas has played both left and right outside linebacker or pass rusher, so there's a lot of variation, and I'm sure that they didn't want a double team on Derek Thomas, so they're moving around.
Have a big lineup for you next weekend. On Saturday, a basketball football doubleheader. The Dean himself, Dean Smith of Carolina, and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish from the Garden in New York. The basketball game, Dean Smith already over the 700 win mark, goes against LaFonso Ellis and the Irish. North Carolina, Notre Dame, followed by the Kodak Hula Bowl at 3:30 Eastern Time. Many of the finest players graduating class of this season, including the man you see there, Florida State's Casey Weldon, David Klingler of Houston, young man that we really enjoyed watching this year from Indiana, Vaughn Dunbar, and others in that game.
Dunbar is for real. Now, he's Wilbert Montgomery, the former Philadelphia Eagle running back. This is an identical type of back. He's going to be an 8 to 10-year NFL player.
Leonard Griffin replaces Neil Smith. Griffin from Grambling in his 6th season. Thomas behind Kelly, and it's Furman battling for 5 yards to the 45, maybe the 44. Kevin Ross gets him out of bounds. In Oklahoma State, no one knew how brilliant that talent was in the backfield for the Aggies at Stillwater a few years ago, with Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders just on the same team, and here they are. Battled for the NFL rushing championship again this year, won by Sanders. They're close friends. They talked this week. Barry wishing Thurman well today, as Thurman will wish Barry later this afternoon against Dallas. Jim Richard, who after 12 seasons finally had the honor, heard the news, I'm going to the Pro Bowl, and boy, he couldn't be more pleased. He's from North Carolina State.
Number 51, prior to snap, offense.
Well, there's just movement, real distinct movement, no problem with that. But I'll tell you, one of the reasons for that movement is that Kansas City defense is moving around from the standpoint of who lines up where. They're switching people all over the place. So the Bills are not going to be zeroed in on the guy they expected to block all day.
That makes it a tougher challenge for Kelly. 3rd and 7 instead of 3rd and short. The middle, complete to Beebe. First down at the 30.
What do you say in this particular case? Lloyd Burris. In this particular case, Lloyd Burris is going to back up, but this is just a beautiful shot downfield. There's a good zone defense there, but look at the pass itself. It's right over Burris's head. Beautifully thrown.
19 yards on the play, and a flag goes down on first down from the 30-yard line. This is the deepest penetration by either team, as we're down to 1.5 minutes left in the first quarter.
Ball start, offense, before the snap, number 69.
I'll tell you, I don't care about the design, about the no huddle. When you've got a guy like Jim Kelly throwing the ball, that ball was thrown over Burris's head, dropped in there beautifully. What a great talent. What a great player at this stage of his career.
31 years of age. He's 7 for 10 in this first quarter. 8 for 11. Beebe again. Kevin Ross and Lonnie Martz make the tackle.
And that's good defense. There's not a problem with this defense at all. Ross is in good zone position. Martz is in good zone position. It's just perfectly thrown between people.
Almost 10 yards in the pickup. Beebe, the fastest of the Bills.
Look out.
Wide open is Reed. Touchdown.
In the regular season, 10 for touchdowns to lead the receiving corps of Kelly. Gets the first today for Marv Levy. 6-0 Buffalo.
Beautiful pass, beautiful pattern, very, very well done. Cherry couldn't help from the middle. It's just very well executed. This is championship football.
Scott Norwood adds the extra point. 80 yards, 8 plays for Buffalo.
Now you're going to see Reed release from the inside position and bend to the outside, and then he hold up in here. Now this coverage is going to be good, but the ball is going to be thrown perfectly. Perfectly. Now he uses that field, lining up on the hash mark, and then gets whipped as he releases downfield. Nothing wrong with J.C. Pearson. J.C. and your family, no problem. Good job of coverage. Now there's a little shove there, but all that room to the outside. And believe me, having seen quarterbacks for many, many years, that's about as good as you get throwing a football.
And Kelly knew he had it. And after the extra point, Bill Moss and one of the Buffalo Bills became involved. That have been Norwood pushing and shoving. There's Norwood, and then coming in to help out, Butch Roll, number 87. Moss then will tear off the helmet of Roll, and luckily nothing came with it. No penalty was thrown, or at least we have not seen any signal. Oh, Andre Reed, a big play receiver from Coopstown State. He was a 4th-round selection in '85, and he's on course. You can just talk about Largent and Lofton and all the other records for receivers. Jerry Rice and Andre Reed are on the attack. If they stay healthy, it'll be a battle between the great 49er receiver and this man to set new standards in pass catching.
They're both great ones. Of course, I favor Rice over anybody, including Reed. But the key, Dick, both have got superb passing games and quarterbacks. They've got everything set up for them. There have been a lot of guys that have played football have never had a chance because of the guy throwing the ball to them. In this case, they've got the perfect vehicle to use their talents.
That's Harvey Williams deep for Norwood. No, it's the Lusso who kicks it to Williams on the goal line. And he spins out to about the 23-yard line. Brad DeLusso, so they have 2 kickers. Norwood kicks the extra points and field goals. Coming up at halftime, the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report. 25 years ago, these 2 teams played in the AFL championship game, Buffalo, Kansas City. The winner to go to the first Super Bowl. And of course, that was the Kansas City Chiefs, directed by Lynn Dawson. Mike Garrett scored a couple of touchdowns in that game. And Marty Schottenheimer was a rookie linebacker for Buffalo. Paul McGuire was the Bills punter.
This is the critical series for Kansas City. They've got to make a series of first downs, even if they don't score.
Jerry Word up the middle to the 25 and then hammered.
That's just not going to get it done. It's pretty well blocked, but the defense scrambles, and a 2- and 3-yard gain just isn't going to be enough at this point for Kansas City. They're going to have to throw the ball on first down, get 7 or 8, then run with the football. But at this point, they get stereotyped into that run-pass routine, and the Bills are going to eat it up.
Schottenheimer has been a winning coach in all 7 seasons. Cleveland, and now in Kansas City. Word again, breaks a tackle, gets 5 more yards. Carlton Bailey drags him down a yard shy of a first down. Final seconds of the first quarter. And there's the gun, the end of 1, and Buffalo leads by 7. Jim Kelly on that touchdown drive went 5 for 5. He's 9 for 12 in the game. Kansas City starts the second quarter with only 1 first down. This is 3rd and 1, and Steve DeBerg, who's one of the best at altering the count or his voice quality, and may have drawn the Bills off.
Ball start.
Nope. Other way.
I hope that wasn't Steve.
Fire and snap.
Because Steve can actually pull his own people off by changing dramatically his snap count. No,
David Zott.
Zott was out before he... Zott wanted to go to his right, I'll tell you.
It's going to be a play to the right, wasn't it?
I guess it makes it tough now. Here they go into the shotgun, and they're 90% passing the shotgun.
Here comes Bennett. DeBerg intercepted by Kirby Jackson. Did he get control? Nope, he couldn't hang on. He had it in his hands, couldn't hang on. Jackson on that corner. Boy, blanket coverage, and Cornelius Bennett again flying.
Well, that's just not a pass you throw right there. For all the greatness of Steve DeBerg, you just don't throw to a covered receiver like that. There's got to be somebody else on the field. First, J.J. Burton had broken too far before the ball had been thrown, so Jackson had a way to just sit right on his hip the whole way. Not good, not good.
Well, the Bills' defense is held, and here's Barker's punt. Into the wind, it hangs high. Clifford Hicks a fair catch, 35-yard line.
Well, that wasn't very good. To keep the game alive, I had really anticipated Kansas City getting a series of first downs. But once they get to that 3rd and 1, then get the penalty, they get in deep trouble. And one thing Marty Schottenheimer wants are a lot of 3rd and short situations, which means they're running the ball, which means they're using up the clock, which means they're getting field position. But at this point, the explosive attack of the Bills aren't going to slow down, and they're not going to wait for that. They're just going to go for it. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen.
Creating turmoil with his lightning-like strikes from outside. Kelly off play action and going deep for Beebe. And he drew a couple of white shirts, and the throw is long.
Again, Deron Cherry in beautiful shape as a free safety. He played his position about perfectly. You'll see that he will be in the middle, and then he will respond to that ball when it's thrown. And so down the field, you see him favoring the double wing side, but watch him doubling back right in position to make a play on the other side.
Meanwhile, Kelly back, and he skids his throw to Andre Reed out of the 46-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd and 10. By the way, the injured defensive lineman Neil Smith has returned for Kansas City. Had a big year this season, 8 sacks and 3 forced fumbles.
He's gotten better by the year, and he's gotten to be a better leader by the year, more of a team player.
On 3rd and 10, Kelly rolling.
Screen to the backside.
Oh, Mike McKellar had nothing but running room over there.
We could see it. We could see it, but I guess the guys on the field couldn't. I have not seen this happen before, because what you're going to see is a roll to the right.
Holding against Kansas City is the signal, and that'll be a first down Buffalo.
Well, there's a roll to the right. Now look how open that is. And of course, the play didn't work with the drop pass, but holding defensively.
Defense, number 24, first down.
J.C. Pearson called for holding. Irate Marty Schottenheimer, that would have forced a punt. Instead, Buffalo gets a first down.
Right here, you'll see the holding. Oh, gee, that extra armor over there, that's going to be holding every time. Look at it.
Oh, he threads that one to Beebe. Right through 2 Kansas City defenders.
It's hard not to just be a spectator. Darn it, and relate things to the viewer, but that's just a beautiful post pattern. Right on the money, and it really couldn't be stopped. There's not a way to stop that. I believe that was Kevin Ross, who's a fine pass defender. But that was that 5-step post pattern, and only the people like Dan Fouts over the years could throw, or Terry Bradshaw.
Great concentration by Beebe as well for his 3rd catch. And this is Al Edwards, a little guy from northwestern Louisiana State.
You see, Dick, the problem. The Bills are gobbling up yardage, taking big chunks of yardage, and meanwhile the Chiefs are trying to eke out first downs. And it just won't work unless there's a continuous number of turnovers or something by the Bills. And of course, we haven't seen anything like that today.
Buffalo leading 7-0 with 13:49 left in the opening half. First down at the Kansas City 31, and Kelly now takes some time because of the no huddle. He's got plenty of it on that play clock down to 12 seconds. Underneath, and drilled, and almost is intercepted by Eric Everett, and Everett is to the 40-yard line as that ball caroming in the secondary, and Kansas City gets what they do very well, that turnover.
By formation that time, they knew it would be a pass by Thurman Thomas's position. Again, you see the safety come up to make the play. Lloyd Burris, and the ball's in the air, and what a break, what a big break.
Eric Everett, the third man in that collaboration. First it was Pearson's hit on McKellar, and then Lonnie March deflecting it. Everett, the interception. The Kansas City Chiefs play by the turnover. Schottenheimer's first book of his Bible. They were a +11 on the year, and when they have the advantage, they win. Unable to get that running game going. Short yardage again on first down.
Now there was a tip on this. When Thurman Thomas lines up in this position, about 90% of the time it's a pass. Now you see people attack those receivers. See how quickly they attack them. They're playing pass. They're playing short pass. Now here come the safeties. Everybody's in position to make a play. So in that case, Bill Cowher, the defensive coordinator, had the proper defense because of formation.
March, who made a couple of big plays last week against the Raiders, another one to help out Everett. DeBerg to Rob Thomas, can't hang on. Nate Odoms was there to cover.
And once again, Cornelius Bennett was right on top of Steve DeBerg. Now this should have been a completion. The ball is pulled low and away, and Thomas couldn't quite get to it, I guess, but DeBerg had Bennett right after him again. Now you watch Bennett come out all the way around the corner, inside a blocker, Oliver DeBerg.
He's been a terror so far, the standout player on the field, Cornelius Biscuit Bennett. DeBerg 2 for 6, only 10 yards passing. On 3rd and long. Underneath, that won't be enough. Todd McNair, who comes in pass situations, gets about 5 on the play. It'll be 4th and 2.
It's a lack of confidence is all there is to it. I'm not suggesting DeBerg doesn't play with a lot of confidence, but it's a lack of confidence in what you're doing to end up throwing that 3-yard pass when you need 8 yards to get a first down. It's just, he knows it's not going to be enough. So there's something happening down that field that's disrupting DeBerg, or he'd be throwing the ball down the field to his people.
Brian Barker to Clifford Hicks. Hicks at his 15. 20. And spins out to the 31. Hicks, who took over that punt return job at midseason and has really accelerated things for Buffalo.
3M salutes the Olympic athletes who found a better way. Whose ideas were so original, there's no going back. That same innovative thinking helped us invent fiber optic products like FiberLock, a vital link in worldwide communications. 3M, innovation working for you.
In the right hands, even the most functional things can be art. So we asked a sculptor to design a new luxury sedan, the Mazda 929. And while it offers a generous list of safety features and amenities to comfort both mind and body, its richest rewards are for the soul. The new 929, the first luxury sedan from the new Mazda.
It just feels right.
Something's waiting inside the powerful 486 SX computer. A technology that will make it even more powerful. We call it Room for the Future. Introducing built-in upgradability. Check into it. From Intel, the computer inside.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by the new Mazda. Mazda, it just feels right. By the Prudential. Come to the companies of the Prudential and build your future on the rock. By Intel, the computer inside. And by Alamo. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo territory. And with Alamo, all those miles are free.
12 minutes left in the half. Jim Kelly, a 25-yard touchdown throw to Andre Reed. For the Bills' 7-0 lead, the Denver Broncos await. If it's Buffalo that wins today, it's Denver at Buffalo here next Sunday. If it's Kansas City an upset, Kansas City would go to Denver. Kelly underneath, and it's McKellar who is drilled every time he catches the ball, and he takes a pop again at the 37-yard line.
Now there's a signal given by Bill Cowher, and everybody on the chief team looks to see that signal. They have to be responsible for it. You don't see much communication going on between the players because they just know that noise factor could really make it tough.
Thurman Thomas out to the 42-yard line, close to a first down.
There's the signal coming off of Bill Cower in the, I guess that's yellow, being colorblind, chartreuse. And he is, I guess that's his signal. I hope it's a signal of some kind. And he's getting people looking over. You see them just glancing over and getting his signal.
That's one of the adjustments for the no-huddle offense. I'm going to mention for the first down. The other was Marty Schottenheimer told us that for his defense to get a look at this rapid pace offense, he actually had 2 different scouting units, backfields and quarterbacks running plays. One would run it, the other would run in with another play to get his team used to the pace.
Yeah, they had to do it because these Bill plays are coming off in about 20 seconds. It's not like the Sam White system where they stand up and audible and pick a play. These guys come right up and go. So you need 2 scout teams, one, then the other, to practice.
Bills dominating the action. Another first down, and the toss to Thurman Thomas. And he's dragged down at the 47-yard line, a gain of 5. Neil Smith from the backside, Duron Cherry from the secondary.
Yeah, Randall blitz, but that was a type of play where Kelly knows that man's not going to be blocked, and he simply holds the ball and throws it out to the outside, and there's Duron Cherry and Smith nicely pursuing over, but Cherry had the coverage on that particular play.
Now here's Thomas in that same position where they threw short before.
If they'll throw the ball, if Thomas is offset when they play with 3 wide receivers. Now he's moving back, could very well be a run. And it's a pass. He had to pick up on a blitz.
And open is Reed again. Andre Reed, touchdown. Yards for Reed, who in this first half has 4 catches, 2 touchdowns, and has accumulated 100 yards receiving. This is a bona fide NFL star, Andre Reed.
The minute we saw Thurman Thomas move over to pick up a blitzer, we knew something big was going to happen because Kelly had picked up the blitz. A look of someone on that defensive unit was telling him it was a blitz. He moved Thomas over to pick up that unblocked man, and he had a clean one-on-one shot down the field.
Norwood adds the extra point, and that quick strike offense of Buffalo needed only 1:28 for this score.
Now you're going to see Reed just breaking down the field. There's no one in the deep middle. So consequently, again, J.C. Pearson is by himself, no help from anybody.
To me, there's nothing better than winning a Super Bowl or a NASCAR race. That's why Interstate's my kind of battery. Get an Interstate battery from automotive service, repair, and parts centers everywhere and win with Interstate.
2 magnificent throws from Kelly to Reed, both on the dead run. One goes for 25 and another for 53 yards. And the Bills lead 14-0. An impressive first half. Kelly already over 200 yards. Luiso, whoa, does he hit that one? That's what he's paid to do. Hits the upright.
We can take a look at the touchdown. Again, Thurman Thomas, believe it or not. Thurman is over here to block this blitz, and there's going to be a blitz here. And that means that Duron Cherry is still going to have to cover Thomas if he releases, leaving the middle wide open. So you see Cherry coming up, and then you see the vacation down the field. There's nothing there, and J.C. Pearson, there's hardly a quarterback or a cornerback in football that can cover the entire field. And Cherry had to remark that he had Thomas. He had to stick in there and watch him.
Now Kansas City has 15 yards in passing offense from DeBerg in the half. Kelly at 2:02. There's the play action, and DeBerg to Bill Jones, the big fullback. And he's twisted down by Cornelius Bennett.
Look out there for me, will you, Bill? Maybe there's more than 197. How can he be rushing the passer and covering the receiver at the same time?
Well, Bennett really, they look for that play. That's the fake. Bennett's just going to be sitting out here, and any play that goes away, he's going to be looking to the outside for Jones, who hopefully is uncovered because DeBerg made such a nice fake going the other way. But Bennett wouldn't be fooled. It's too late in the year, really, to run that play. In fact, I think we said it a couple of weeks ago. Everybody's picking up on that fake play with a little bootleg. 2nd and 8, and Word runs into his own blockers, gets only to the 25. Back to Cornelius Bennett. In that big trade in 1987. Remember, Bennett was holding out. He was picked #1 by the Colts, the 2nd player in the draft behind Vinny Testaverde, and that's when they worked the Eric Dickerson 3-way deal. And Bennett came here to Buffalo, and trades of draft choices were made. It cost Buffalo a couple of #1s for Bennett. As it turns out, that was the quietest part of the deal, was the best part. Bennett has succeeded. Dickerson has hardly been triumphant in Indianapolis, and all those draft picks didn't pay off for the Rams. On 3rd and long, a fine catch coming back to meet the ball by Fred Jones, and DeBerg was hit as he threw the ball and hasn't moved much yet. It took a long time for that play to develop, and DeBerg had to hold the ball. And Steve's taken every kind of hit you can take in 15 years of football, and that's just another one. I don't know how the guy can do it, but he had to wait and wait and wait for that play to develop. Here comes Bennett again. Now Bennett's going to come inside of people. Then what Bennett, oh gee, what Bennett does, believe it or not, he gets blocked and still can make the hit. I've never seen a guy do that before.
Jeff right there as well. It was a 1st down, only the 2nd by the Chiefs in the game, and Barry Word fighting his way to the 40, a 9-yard pickup before Carlton Bailey, a linebacker from North Carolina, can make the stop.
Again, Dick, Bennett is blocked nicely, then he gets off the block, and then he makes the hit on the quarterback. In other words, he's so quick, he can be blocked and still make a play. Now, you rarely see that. You really do. I see Charles Haley from the 49ers do it. Of course, Lawrence Taylor did it for years.
Look at DeBerg. Look at DeBerg. He was trying to throw the ball and winced in pain. Look at this.
Can't throw.
No, it's his wrist or hand. And we'll probably see Mark Vlasic at quarterback. And DeBerg is as tough as they come. He'd have to really be hurting to give up the ship. Remember, he had that finger broken, and it went right through the skin, and they just kind of sewed that thing up, and he came right back and played last year.
Well, Vlasic hasn't been bad. As you know, at one point, he replaced DeBerg. You know, the coaches voluntarily did it, feeling Vlasic could play better football. So let's just see what happens.
He was injured in the San Francisco game, a knee injury after he started for DeBerg. The handoff on 2nd and short, and that appears to be enough for the 1st down, as Word needed only inches, got about 1.5 yards.
Well, this is as good a run defense as I've seen the Bills play all year.
Looking at the knuckle on the thumb.
If you can't use that thumb, of course, you can't do much of anything. You can't grip the ball. That's the case. And I'm not sure they can teach that. You see, he can't grip the ball with his right thumb.
Trying, just the body won't cooperate, and you kind of hope it'll go away after 3 or 4 tries. It didn't. So Mark Vlasic, who played at Iowa in his 4th year, former San Diego Charger, a Plan B pickup by Kansas City. He throws complete. And it's J.J. Burden. Remember Burden and the great game he had in the season finale at Los Angeles against the Raiders, as he had a career game that earned Kansas City the win and the home field in the playoff round last week, where they repeated their victory against the Raiders.
Well, what's impressed me the most today about the Bills is defensively they're there. They're there every time. That ball was thrown, caught, and the tackle was made. They're on the money today, and I haven't seen them play defense this soundly in the last couple of years.
2nd and short. Word into a pile. They're just not opening the holes the way they did at Kansas City at Arrowhead, as the Bills, as they had planned to try to be more aggressive and taking away the gaps.
That's right. In the past, The Bills had been willing to move along the line of scrimmage in the previous game, move along the line of scrimmage with the blockers, then make a play. They're saying now, Darryl Talley in particular says, we've got to go after them. We've got to go right after them. And, of course, Bennett then is destroying Hayes' block. But otherwise, Seals was penetrating and cutting the play off.
3rd and a yard and a half. They have to get across the Buffalo 49. Oh, Williams drilled at the line of scrimmage. Jeff Wright, 91.
Well, it's so stereotyped. Now, all of us can be second Monday, I guess you call them Monday morning quarterbacks. All of us can do that. But this stuff's so stereotyped. We knew just where the ball was going, and Jeff Wright knew where it was going.
Steve DeBerg leaving the field to receive some medical attention. X-raying that thumb.
An X-ray, conceivably a numbing shot in that thumb if it wouldn't do further damage to play. It might take that.
So Kansas City's 5th possession ends on their 5th punt by Barker. Clifford Hicks a fair catch at the 13-yard line. It's all Buffalo. The Bills 14. The Chiefs nothing. 4:46 left in the half.
Saturday, it's 2 great college traditions on NBC. First, Dean Smith's North Carolina Tar Heels take on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Then, it's Heisman Trophy runner-up Casey Weldon, Houston's Top Gun David Klingler, Indiana's spectacular Vaughn Dunbar, and the nation's top senior All-Americans at the Kodak Hula Bowl. All next Saturday on NBC.
Here's how DeBerg injured that thumb. Look at 91 Jeff Wright, and DeBerg on the follow-through will hit his thumb off the helmet.
Right there.
There.
And that is not at all uncommon among quarterbacks in a throwing motion to hit the thumb of one of your own players or a rushing defender.
Buffalo leading 14-0. Plenty of time in this half. And underneath to the tight end, McKellar for about 10. J.C. Pearson and others on the tackle.
That's a lot. Well, I don't know how many for McKellar. He's going to get 5 already. He'll probably get 4 or 5 more because the minute the Chiefs drop into that zone, which is a good zone, McKellar splits the difference. Just pivots between people, and with the arm Kelly's got, he gets it there before the zone defenders can respond.
Keller from Jacksonville State is a great basketball player in college. Another quick throw, another gain of 11. Beebe, it's almost as if he couldn't wait to get back in action after the sideline with a fractured collarbone. He now has 4 catches and 61 yards. Reed has 4 catches, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns as Kelly spreads the offense.
Kelly calling his own plays, as you know, and he sees this zone defense. He sees it coming.
Oh, they draw to Thurman Thomas. And he has 10 yards.
So what you'll do, you'll hit those zone passes for 6 to 8 yards. The defenders drop a little deeper, hoping they can really respond to the pass, and you hand the ball off to Thurman Thomas, the #1 player in the league.
Flag on the play. Well, maybe they picked it up.
There's no flag on the play. It came out by air.
The best combination in football is to get the defending team to be sitting deeper than normal in their zone and hit them with a draw play.
3.5 minutes left in this first half. Buffalo already ahead 14-0, driving on 2nd and short. Thomas has the first down to the 47 of the Bills. Lloyd Burris made the tackle. Thurman Thomas.
This is the problem when you don't move the ball yourself, Dick. If your offense is unable to move the ball, sustain their attack, you just keep giving opportunity after opportunity to the opposing team. And when it's the Bills with someone like Kelly throwing the ball and Thomas sitting there behind him, you know all hell's going to break loose.
Kelly goes deep for Lofton. And Duron Sherry there to make the interception. Lofton quickly the tackle at the 14. Duron Sherry has his 3rd playoff interception.
Well, they got away with it once, and it was broken up. But in this particular case, Duron Sherry's in great position as the free safety, just doing his job. And with all his experience, he can feel. Now, you'll see Duron Sherry just playing that ball down the field. Just watch him. This is what they call good free safety play. He's watching the quarterback's eyes, then plays center fielder to get the ball. And by the way, it wasn't a very good throw because he led his receiver way too far inside. You can see he's saying, what am I doing? He just wanted it all in one play, when meantime he was just chewing up the defense.
Only the 2 interceptions, one by Cherry, one by Everett, denying Buffalo even more points as they have controlled the game thus far, 14-0. Mark Vlasic for the injured Steve DeBerg, and skating his way for 3 was the word. He was stopped for a yard loss, able to plow off that right side where Carlton Bailey and Kirby Jackson and Cornelius Bennett make the stop.
I think it's pretty evident that the Chiefs are intent on running on first down. Isn't that pretty evident, Dick? Every time.
Well, they threw once on...
Did they throw a pass? Because every time it's just coming with the same thing, and even if it gets 3 yards, it still leaves you in trouble. They're going to have to be willing to throw it and hopefully complete a pass on first down. Get it untracked that way.
Vlasic, who was 28 for 44 on the season. Play action, and he's drilled at the 7-yard line by Leonard Smith, a safety blitz.
Well, we spoke of the fact that that play has sort of used itself up in the NFL after 16 league games. After 16 league games and then playoffs, everybody runs that fake reverse type play. The quarterback keep. In this case, they've got a safety blitzing against the run, and you can see the results.
And that's the 2-minute timeout in Buffalo, where they cheer a 7-0 lead.
You're going to see a man move up and blitz and be unblocked. But meanwhile, the play itself is going to show a fake and the blitzer being there before really the quarterback can even see him coming.
3rd down and 15 for Vlasic into his own end zone, and then a screen to Todd McNair. Flags are down. McNair out across the 20 and just shy of the first down by about 1.5 yards, and now the penalty.
Well, it was a well-executed middle screen. McNair did a good job.
False start, number 74, offense tries.
So Marty Schottenheimer's offense finally produces a good play, only to have it negated by Graham's penalty.
These are the tough ones. Now you'll see Graham upright and leaning to move. Gee, he's concerned about Cornelius Bennett. You can see that. He's getting no help, and so he's trying to get in position as early as he can. But now that's the kind of play that you don't repeat. You hit somebody with that screen, but typically you can't run it again. People can read it the second time around.
Leading 14-0 in Buffalo, with Kansas City backed into its own end zone, and the give to McNair, just trying to give the punter some kicking room, and he does that out to the 7-yard line. Jeff Wright and Darryl Talley make the tackle. And Buffalo will spend one of its timeouts with 1:51 left in the half, and they're on their feet in Buffalo. The Bills have 2 timeouts left. They have dominated total yardage now. Buffalo 270, Kansas City 63 yards. And perhaps for the Chiefs, if they can somehow hold Buffalo scoreless the rest of the way, they'd feel fortunate to be down by only 14, considering how well Buffalo has outplayed them.
Well, and I'm not sure they can do it. There's 1:51 left. Field position now is going to be all Buffalo, and with Kelly in that offense, I would think that the Chiefs can get out at 17 zip at half. They'll be fortunate.
Brian Barker to Clifford Hicks for the 6th time in this half. And Hicks easing up to the 40 as Barker kicking into the wind. Gets away a beautiful spiral. Hicks at his own, well, right at the 50. And dragged down at the 45-yard line by Jonathan Hayes, the tight end. At halftime coming up, the Domino's Pizza NFL Live report. Take a look at the 1966 American Football League championship game. Buffalo and Kansas City, their original AFL teams here today, and they played for the right to represent the old AFL in the first Super Bowl out in Los Angeles, and a game against the Green Bay Packers as Kansas City did it. A lot of wonderful memories.
That was on January 1st, 67. The game was played, the end of the 66 season. Thurman Thomas takes a couple of tackles. And he's to the 48-yard line of Kansas City. Thomas, who has led the National Football League 3 consecutive years in total yardage. This year, on the ground, over 1,400, plus 62 catches. Well, those are very impressive numbers. Quick pass to Beebe, and he ducks out of bounds to stop the clock with 1:11 left in the half.
Sort of look like they know what they're doing, don't they?
Yes, and Jim Kelly, of course, every quarterback has the desire to really run his own show, and as a veteran to be able to call your own plays. In fact, he basically gets all the information during the week from Ted Marchibroda. When game day comes, really his closest conversation and ally is Frank Reich. He really doesn't like to talk to the coach.
Frank has got a way to get the vibes from Kelly, whether he wants or needs help at the time.
But intercepted, could go for it. No, he dropped the ball. Oh, my, wide open was Kevin Ross. That was a short touchdown.
Boy, did they need that. Now, that's one that Kelly sat on and waited before he threw it. Now, you see Kelly drop back. Now, look how long it takes him before he finally throws it. See, that whole full count gave Ross a chance to make a touchdown. There was a full count there that Kelly waited before he threw the ball.
That could have changed the whole course of this game. What a play. Instead, the Bills get another shot, and it's Kelly throwing underneath to the 34 to James Lofton. And that'll be shy of the first down. Clock still running. Bills have 2 timeouts. Down to 50.
When Kelly does come to the sideline, Reich is right there. He's the only guy, as you point out there, that talks to Kelly.
They might want to review that one. It appeared Lofton kind of hugged that one off the ground.
You know, they have people upstairs keeping statistics, getting coverages and numbers as to what they see. Looked like he, it looks like it was between his legs. Let somebody else make a call for us on that one.
From that angle, perhaps not enough evidence to overrule.
But I think opening up the game to Kelly with Reich doing the conversing, and a lot of it's the running game. Kelly feels real good about the passing game.
Pass was ruled complete on the field. Replay confirmed.
Replay does not change the call.
So Kelly has full command of the passing game, but the running game, Reich is really watching for those things that look best for the run itself. And right now, it looks like they could run. They got there it is.
Thomas at the 28-yard line.
Kansas City went into a 3-man line with those defensive ends spread way out to really cover the field in the zone. And right away, Kelly hits it with Thomas running the ball.
Timeout Buffalo. They have 1 remaining. Thomas felt emotionally wounded a bit when he didn't win the most valuable player in the Super Bowl. Many felt he deserved it, but basically that's just because he wasn't on the winning team. And Jeff Hospitaller got the call down in Tampa.
My guess is he will have that honor at some point, this year or next or soon.
Only in his 4th year. He's only 25. There's Reich on the right. He played at Maryland. Boomer Esiason, a close pal of his. In fact, they co-own some 8 boot shops, a couple here in the Buffalo area. They room together. He's vanilla. In fact, that's his choice when they have their superstitious milkshake the night before the game. He gets vanilla, and of course, Kelly gets chocolate and anything else he'll put in.
Yeah.
But
something about he needs 4 pillows on his bed. Reich gets the 4 pillows.
Who gets the window? Who gets the wall?
Right. Well, Kelly wants that window. No question about it. But Reich, very bright, and has played extremely well whenever given a chance. He's carried his team nicely.
We have 30 seconds left in the half. Thurman Thomas stumbles and gets to the 20-yard line. And right back on his feet in case he wasn't touched. 19-18. Now, Kelly might just want to down this one. They have 1 timeout left. They want to use that for the field goal unit, and Kelly will just spike it. And with 11 seconds, that gives him a chance for 1 more play before a possible field goal.
Well, a timeout, to be honest with you, would have been more appropriate at that time. That would have given them 2 plays.
Leading 14-0. Only 2 interceptions by Kansas City, denying Kelly and the Bills more.
The idea would be go for the end zone and then kick the field goal.
Kelly, 19 for 28. Well, he's had a full half of throwing.
You have to assume now he's going to go for that end zone.
Well, Thurman Thomas getting closer for Norwood, and just does get out of bounds. 6 seconds, and right enough to do it, although they did have the timeout. And here comes Norwood. Norwood, this isn't automatic. He's had his own problems of late. He has missed 5 of his last 6. You see here Derek Thomas trying to rip that ball away from Thurman. They're not related. And here's Norwood out of right hold from the 24, a 34-yard attempt.
This is the one that you wouldn't call us a flaw, but you wouldn't call Scott Norwood a strength of the ball club. He's done fine. But typically a championship football team has a Ray Wershing or someone like that who knows going to make everything it takes a shot at.
Well, Norwood, who, of course, came so close to winning the Super Bowl in Miami, just wide to the right. He was 18 for 29 this year, 20 for 29 last year. He had his run of 7-8 in a row, and then stumbled at the end of the season, especially in the Raider game when he missed an extra point and 3 field goals. But you can hear the fans trying to give Norwood their support. Scott.
Well, they don't want to change kickers, because when you change kickers in the middle of the year, you don't really know what you're getting. You might have a good start and then fall apart. So they're going to stay with Scott.
Kansas City used the timeout to ice him a bit, so now the 34-yard attempt that would give Buffalo a 17-0 halftime lead.
Well, we said 17 would be about what to expect if Buffalo got the ball midfield.
33 yards officially. He's got 2 seconds still left in the half. 17-0 Buffalo. Well, these Bills were the best in the AFC, and right from day one, they dedicated themselves after the heartbreaking loss in the Super Bowl. Played well enough to win. The Giants maintaining the ball control, and Norwood had his chance. The 47-yarder, and Norwood shouting that one through.
Yeah, it reminds me of '83 for the 49ers. We lost to the Redskins in that championship game, and we were dedicated from that point on and confident we'd win it the next year. The same kind of thing for the Bills this year. The seasoning they've had this year has made them a great football team, in my opinion.
And Kansas City, a team with an offensive style, much like Bill Parcells' Giants of a year ago. Grinded out, ball control, solid running, big backs, low-risk offense. And they showed that that could be disastrous, as they certainly sent a wake-up call to Buffalo with that big win in Arrowhead, 33-6. But now, as we're in the playoffs, it appears the Bills have made some adjustments. They not only have Bennett, but they have Bruce Smith and Jeff Wright. Both were injured in that game in Kansas City, and this defense doesn't look like the same one that played against Kansas City at Arrowhead.
There's Darryl Talley. Now, Talley spoke of the tackling. He said, we let people break tackles. We let them break tackles all over the field, and we're not going to do it this time. And they haven't. Their tackling today has been excellent.
2 seconds left in the half, and Norwood will kick it off. Not Wiso. Probably just hit one low where not much time can be done. And it'll go to Fred Jones, who just sits there and lets the half run up. 17-0 Buffalo. Very impressive. And we'll return after these messages from the National Football League and from your local favorite station.
Jeff Latham, News Watch 10 Weather. This is the Domino's Pizza NFL Live Halftime Report. Brought to you by Domino's Pizza. Nobody knows like Domino's how you like pizza at home.
Okay, the Bills on top of the Chiefs, 17-0. Let's head back to Rich Stadium, check in with O.J. First question, Juice. Anything new on the condition of Steve DeBerg?
Well, I caught Steve DeBerg. He went into the visitors' locker room for about 5 minutes. Then he came out and he was going to get x-rays, and I asked him would he be able to play the second half. He pointed to a knuckle along that metacarpal bone in his thumb, and he says, I think I tore some ligaments in here. They took him in for x-rays. Evidently, the x-rays were negative, but he told Jim Kelly as they were going up that I don't think I'll be able to play the second half. I tore some ligaments in my thumb. So it doesn't look like Steve DeBerg is going to play the second half. Talking to the Bills about what was different with this game than the first time that they played a few weeks ago, Shane Collins said is the presence of Wright and Bruce Smith. He says they're keeping their linemen off our linebackers. Leonard Smith, he just said it's the noise here that Kansas City was unable to call audibles, and that was helping the Bills' defense. That's the story down here at halftime.
All right, O.J., and always good to see the traditional bagpipe entertainment at halftime. 71 total yards for Kansas City. We talked about it on the pregame, how they have to run inside the tackles. That's the way to beat Buffalo. It's the way they did it on that Monday night when the Bills were, of course, without Bruce Smith and Jeff Wright. It hasn't happened in this first half.
No, it hasn't happened. But the thing that kind of surprised me the most, Bob, was the way Buffalo came out and approached the game in their passing game. Now, sometimes you try to disguise things to what you really want to do by doing something else first. And that's what Jim Kelly did. He went to the long pass, and early in the game, he threw 3 or 4 long passes. He overthrew them. Here's one to Lofton, and I think we're going to see another one coming up here that goes to Don Beebe. And, you know, sometimes this scares this Kansas City secondary off to where you can throw short. But another situation came up where the 2 Kansas City safeties, Kelly recognized blitz, were responsible for McKellar, the tight end, and Thomas. Kelly audibles, brings Thomas over to block the blitzing linebacker on the top of the screen. You see the 2 safeties will have to come up to cover their respective receivers, McKellar and Thomas, and that allows Andre Reed to get inside J.C. Pearson on the post pattern right here, and Kelly just lays that ball out very nicely. As a matter of fact, the ball was almost thrown just a little bit short. You can see there, Reed almost has to wait for it for a second, but he takes it in nicely. Good recognition by the Buffalo offense.
But showing you the way a game can turn, even though one team may have dominated. We've got 298 offensive yards for Buffalo to just 71 for Kansas City. But the Chiefs did get a couple of turnovers in the first half and weren't able to cash in on either of them. And then this happened, a possible 3rd turnover where Kevin Ross would have had an easy touchdown. It was total clear sailing. Now, suppose he does pick this one off and take it in for the TD. Then it's 14-7. It's a 10-point swing because on that possession, they kept the ball and got the Norwood field goal. If they're down only 7, you can still work play action. You can still use the running game. Now they're down 17-0, don't have an explosive offense on this team's home field. This game's close to over.
A big factor in the first half, Bob, is something happened that very rarely happens. Buffalo won the time of possession. They are last in the league on offense. They have the ball the fewest minutes. They're worst in the league on defense. The opposition has the ball 33 minutes on average per game. Look at today. Today they won the battle in the first half. Their defense has only been on the field like 14 minutes and some change. I think they're going to be really refreshed going out for the second half and tough.
All right, and when we come back, we'll take you back a quarter century to the AFL Championship game between the Chiefs and the Bills in 1966. We'll get to that after these messages from your local station.
This is the Domino's Pizza NFL Live Halftime Report. Brought to you by Domino's Pizza. Nobody knows like Domino's how you like pizza at home.
Okay, this week marked the 25th anniversary of the only time prior to today that the Chiefs and Bills have ever met in the postseason. The occasion, the 1966 AFL Championship. And there are some memorable names and great stories from that frigid day in Buffalo.
Extra, read all about it.
It was a cold battle at War Memorial Stadium between the Bills and the Chiefs, the AFL title game. 1966, a memorable year in football history. Joe Collier and Hank Stram, the respective coaches, fighting for a championship. The winner would represent the AFL in Super Bowl I.
I had emotions because, tremendous emotions, because this was going to be the game that would get you to the Super Bowl. Of course, it wasn't called a Super Bowl at that time, but give us an opportunity to play against the National Football League champions. And that was what was at stake. So you can imagine the emotions were running on very high on both sides.
To give you an idea of what happened, how bad it was, the mismatch. They kicked off to us. Dudley Meredith caught the kickoff return, the lineman. Got hit, fumbled. They went in and scored, and the game was over. I mean, we scored 7 points. Oh, by the way, later on.
but it was never a contest.
I try to forget the interceptions. I threw a critical one at the in the second half. Johnny Robinson, the very fine free safety of the Kansas City Chiefs, said he read my eyes, but I thought I was looking to the right and then came back and tried to throw a slant to my split end, and he came back, made the interception, and ran back about 70 yards. Just almost broke our back, but they were an awfully good team. There was great respect for the Chiefs. Dawson had a great year.
And we just felt confidence with Lenny out there. We called him Lenny the Cool, that he can direct our team. And also that, you know, we felt that if they can score some touchdown, we can hold Buffalo to the minimum in points, and that we can beat them. Oh, you know, Otis and Lenny was a good combination. You know, when we was down in the dumps or something, you know, always you can pick out that Lenny is going to find Otis.
Lenny and I were on the sideline drawing plays in the mud. You know, we didn't have the blackboard or the chalkboard with the coach coming up and drawing the X's and O's. I was telling him something I could do, and I wanted to show it to him, and he was looking at me, and I was explaining to him, and I was drawing in the sand or the mud, whichever one it was. But we had a great football team. We had a great organization. I love all the guys I played with. I still see a lot of them, and I think it's beautiful.
The biggest thing that I remember about it, though, is I was so confident we were going to win, I'd already spent my Super Bowl paycheck. So that was a rather disappointing loss for us.
Whatever happens in the game between Kansas City and Buffalo is exactly the same thing that happened after the game in Buffalo 25 years ago. We met in the middle of the field and say, do it. For us, do this for the old AFL.
You know, I see Paul on television all the time. He was a terrible football player. He couldn't punt. He couldn't play linebacker. He couldn't do any of that stuff. I tell you, though, even then he could talk. And he still does a good job of talking.
No disputing that. You were there that day, covered the game, huh?
Yeah, I was, Bob. You know, it was the first time I've ever seen an NFL scout in a press box. I was always an American Football League guy. And for this game, they sent in Wally Cruz. He was in the Super Scout for the Packers. And Muggs Hallis come in from the Bears. They were looking at both teams. And what surprised me, later that day, Green Bay beat Dallas to get to the Super Bowl. And the next morning, I read in the papers Vince Lombardi saying, we won't even scout those guys. We don't care. They're nothing, okay? I couldn't believe it, but that was his attitude all the way to the Super Bowl. We're better. We don't care about them. And when they came to the game, they proved it.
Well, of course, the first Super Bowl was close until halftime. Then Green Bay won 35-10. And afterwards, Lombardi said to the press, okay, you want me to say it? You've been asking. They're not as good as the best teams in the NFL. But it was only 2 more years before the Jets beat the Colts. And then the next year, Stram's Chiefs came back and beat the Vikings. So it was 2-2 in terms of Super Bowls by the time the merger became effective.
Let me tell you something about that. That night, I spent in a hotel room in Long Beach, California with Hank Stram after they lost the game and 2 other sports writers. And all he kept on saying to us was, did Vince really say that? You know, and we had to say, yeah, he said it. He couldn't believe it.
You know, Stram won 3 titles in the old AFL. He won the one with the Dallas Texans. He won that one in '66 to get to the first Super Bowl, and then he won the one to get to Super Bowl IV, where he finally won it all when he beat the Vikings. We'll send you back for the second half kickoff from Rich Stadium right after this message, as we'll rejoin Dick Enberg and Bill Walsh for the call the second half.
January 18th is All-Star Saturday on NBC. First, it's Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, and the greatest stars in hockey at the NHL All-Star Game. Then, celebrities from the worlds of sports and entertainment tee it up with the PGA's best at the Bob Hope Chrysler Classic. Hockey's All-Stars and stars of all sorts coming in 2 weeks to NBC Sports.
And welcome back to Rich Stadium in Buffalo, where the fans certainly enjoying themselves and digesting what was a most impressive 30 minutes of play. Buffalo both offensively and defensively owning the first half. And yet, the fates of this game, Kevin Ross had 6 points in his hands at 14-0. If he intercepts that ball and runs it in 14-7, who knows what that might have done to this game. But at this point, it is all Buffalo.
It's all Buffalo, and I don't see Kansas City doing much unless they start in their shotgun on first down. They just can't line up in that single back formation and hammer away at the Bills while then when the Bills get the ball, they dominate just throwing the ball down the field. That's like old tank warfare in modern jets. It just doesn't work.
Well, Buffalo with the #1 offense in the National Football League, the #1 rushing offense. Kansas City #3, but their running game shut down as Bill stacked up for it, and the statistics in the first half will bear out Buffalo's dominance. The Coors Light statistics: total yardage 298, or is that
98?
298 to 71, and 17 first downs to 3. Time of possession, even Buffalo more time of possession because of their rapid-fire offense. Usually the other team has the ball more often, but they've been able to stop Kansas City so cold that Kansas City unable to generate any possession time.
It's simply going to take the shotgun formation and continuous throwing on the part of Kansas City to play any more this year, because at this point they're about 30 minutes away from having a nice vacation in Hawaii or Florida or something, while the Bills go ahead and go for the Super Bowl.
Well, it's almost imperative that Kansas City getting the ball first. As you look at Christian Okoye, and one wonders if he might be playing for Barry Word, just trying to, and there's Steve DeBerg, his thumb well bandaged, and his day and season probably over. So Kansas City will get it first, trailing 17-0 on this gray day in Buffalo. Temperature in the 30s. And Delwiso sidewinds one. Does it go out of bounds? Yes, it did not make the end zone, and Kansas City will start from the 35-yard line.
No, that's a rule, by the way, Dick, that I'm not sure is equitable. The ball bouncing out of that 35-yard line is too severe a placement of the ball if it's kicked out of bounds. It should maybe be the 30 or even to 25. But this gives Kansas City good field position, at least initially.
So Mark Vlasic, who played briefly during the course of his first year in Kansas City. He was the opening day starter for the Chargers in '90 and then lost his job to Billy Joe Tolliver. And Harvey Williams starts at running back behind it. Rob Thomas in motion. And it's Williams who has a bit more speed. May have fumbled the way they're scrambling, and Kansas City recovers the fumble at the 35-yard line.
Well, I think they've established that they'll run to their right side on 1st and 10. There is no question that they've shown their willingness to do that, down after down. Here's the same thing. And again, Bennett's inside, and Bailey is right there. The ball came out, and fortunately, it looks as though
Jonathan Hayes recovered.
Hayes got the ball, yeah. It's open. It's out there. So they're going to have to come up with something, and I hope it's not that bootleg play again, because I got the feeling that the Bills know how to stop that. You see, there's two distinct offenses with the Chiefs. One is the T formation idea with a single back.
The play was as stand, keep it as stand.
That was good information. Well, is that revealing? But this is
we know what he means.
A single form of the offense. Then they go to the shotgun.
Vlasic intercepted by Kirby Jackson. And Jackson tackled at the 36. 2 plays, second half, a fumble, an interception, and Buffalo, the herd is riding.
Vlasic just forced a slant inside. Just step back. You can see, look at his helmet. It's facing directly right. He goes right into Bennett, who's sitting there playing his eyes. Now, typically, you tell that quarterback to keep his helmet facing straight upfield. Now, he's just dropping into a pass route, and the ball comes right to him. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4 Bills in the area of the throwing lane.
And Cornelius Bennett in the mix again. He has been absolutely brilliant in Buffalo today. First down at the Kansas City 36, and Kelly Guns wide open as BB, as he has been the whole game. Kevin Ross made the tackle.
I'll tell you who's been absent is Derek Thomas. I have not seen him be a factor at this point. It's just a zone defense. You see, Ross is looking at the quarterback, then attempting to respond to the ball, and Kelly gets it there so sharply that Ross had nothing to do except get in on the tackle.
First down on the play. Dump off to Thurman Thomas. Ronnie Marks pushes him out of bounds at the 21-yard line, a pickup of 5.
Marks had great position. Thomas quickly just pivoted him right to the sideline for yards.
And Saliamua comes up limping a bit. He goes against Kent Hull, the fine center.
Now, here are two guys that know each other rather well. I understand the last time they played each other, Saliamua asked Hull to play in a golf tournament during the game.
There's Thurman Thomas. He has another first down to the 15-yard line. Ron Cherry from the secondary, another tackle.
Saliamua has a golf tournament every year. He invites centers he's played against. And in the process of last year's game, in the middle of the game, he asked Kent Hull if he'll play in the golf tournament. Of course, Hull says, "You're darn right. Yes, I'll be there. I'll be there."
Thomas running behind Hull, gets a couple. Tom Sims, number 95 from Pittsburgh, replacing Saliamua, makes the tackle. Saliamua, Samoan, of course, a grandmother who he said had the whole island was destroyed by a hurricane where she lives, or except for her house survived this last year.
Blitz.
And he dumps it off to Thomas, and Thomas to the 10-yard line. And one of the many reasons why Thurman Thomas is such an outstanding player and voted already the MVP this year in the NFL, they talk about him like a second quarterback.
He just has an instinct for the game, an intellect for the game of football. And he's a bright enough guy, I'm sure, but for the game of football, he's extremely able to analyze things and recall things.
Wide open is Lofton. James Lofton, touchdown.
They get a blitz from the outside, and so we know we've got single coverage. A slant go pattern, beautifully done by James. Former Stanford player, one of my old players. I wish the heck I'd have had a chance to coach him in pro football. But look at this. Go up, in, and then right back out, and you'll get a bite on that slant right there. It's just a beautiful pass pattern. Start up, slant, then there it is. Beautiful shot.
Now Kelly to Lofton, 10 yards for the touchdown. Norwood adds the extra point. Kansas City's disastrous trip to the Northeast continues. Oh, he left it off.
Job.
Wendy 4-0.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the trucks you can depend on, the trucks that last. By Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when. By Magnavox, smart choices for smart people. The ingenious products from Magnavox. They're smart, very smart. And by Gillette, and the revolutionary Gillette Sensor Shaving System. Gillette, the best a man can get.
35-year-old James Lofton with his 7th touchdown in 7 playoff games to hike Buffalo's lead to 24. Brad Delwiso. Harvey Williams, the rookie at the 7th, fumbles again, and will stay right there at the 9-yard line.
Well, right now this game's a little too big for Harvey Williams. He's fumbled the last 2 times he's had the ball in his hands, and a little too much pressure. This is really sort of melancholy for me, having coached James Lofton at Stanford University. I wish personally, I wished I'd had him play for us with the 49ers. We had a chance to. This is one of the Hall of Fame football players. He can do everything. He's all the way into his 14th, going into his 15th year of football. He can still do it. Just a great pattern. Start a slant, then release back out, and Ross was playing the quarterback.
Williams gets the call and is out to the 13-14-yard line, and you can be sure this crowd at Rich Stadium of 80,000 plus remembering the 33-6 loss.
Slant, then release back out, and Ross was playing the quarterback.
Williams gets the call and is out to the 13-14-yard line, and you can be sure this crowd at Rich Stadium of 80,000 plus remembering the 33-6 loss suffered at the hands of Kansas City in Kansas City. 24 points isn't what they want. They want as many as they can run up. And remember last year here in Buffalo, they handed the Los Angeles Raiders their head by a Buffalo's at 51-3.
52, 51.
Harvey Williams again, and he's out to the 18, short of the first down. It'll be 3rd and 1. How important is the home field advantage in the playoffs? Thus far, in the AFC side, the home field has held up. AFC team has advanced the Super Bowl 7 times. NFC team the Super Bowl 8 times.
Oh, it's an advantage. It really is. Often weather's the advantage, the surface at that time of year, and of course the crowd, your hype for your crowd. It's
Staying
a tough,
at home.
tough deal. We did pretty well with the 49ers. I remember a big game we beat the Bears in Chicago.
That's
But
Williams.
typically you can't get it done.
Darting for a first down to the 24-yard line. Carlton Bailey made the stop.
Now Williams comes in obviously highly recommended, having played for Marty in the Senior Bowl, and Marty Schottenheimer already having Christian Okoye and Barry Word still drafted Williams because he was so impressed with him, and he is quick, and with another year experience he'll be a major factor in the NFL.
In Kansas City, will use one of those running backs to go after someone else. They've got 3 outstanding. There's a block down by Darryl Talley.
I think it was Bruce Smith. Now Bruce is playing up to his full capabilities right now. You see, he just goes straight ahead, and oh gee, he's really favoring that knee. I didn't realize he was favoring it so much. When he went in the air, he just made sure he only landed on the best knee. One of Bruce's problems now, I think, is an arthritic circumstance, inflammation under the kneecap. It makes it very, very, very painful to move around. So he's really doing a lot of it on just pure raw courage today.
He missed 11 games this year with that knee injury. Vlasic, a quick out, incomplete, intended for J.J. Burton.
But Smith wanted to be on the field. He wanted to play, and he does have that problem. The surgery was fine, but there's an inflammation under the kneecap, and an arthritic condition can develop, which makes it very, very painful. And it may be painful for some years, those kinds of injuries.
Here's a man, remember Lawrence Taylor last year, all but admitting he was handing over the reins to Bruce Smith as the top defensive player in the game.
And he was. Right now, all he can do is go straight ahead.
John Auld has been blocking him one-on-one, no help at all. Vlasic, no one there, in between J.J. Burton and Emil Harry, as Vlasic was hurried.
I saw number 97 real close by, but Smith is just playing on heart today. Well, he's coming up the field. He can do nothing but bull rush, you see, and he doesn't have the strength to really be able to take on someone, so Alt really is handling it. But he's got the heart of a champion.
Barker, he's been busy, his 7th punt. And a fair catch by Clifford Hicks at the Buffalo 37-yard line. So the Bills have it again with 9:38 left in the 3rd period, 24-0.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by The Prudential. Come to the companies of The Prudential and build your future on the rock.
Orchard Park, nearly Queen City of the Great Lakes. Buffalo, New York, on the eastern end of Lake Erie. The weather certainly has cooperated. In fact, flirted with 50 degrees during the course of this week. A bit colder today in the 30s, but the showers that have been forecast have stayed away. But the Kansas City Chiefs unable to muster any steam on the field, as it's been Buffalo dominating the line of scrimmage.
I hate to say it, but I'm sure some of the Chiefs can see their automobile with all their luggage packed in the trunk and see themselves headed for home in a few hours.
Dino Hackett has come in to play linebacker now. Number 56 Hackett sees his first duty. He was the 2nd leading tackler for the team on the season, second to Deron Cherry from Appalachian State, as he replaces Irvin Randall, 55.
You know, I think there's got to be a quarterback movement of some kind on this Chiefs team this next year. They like Vlasic, and maybe he can do it. I know I haven't seen enough of him myself to be able to judge. But they have 3 fine running backs. You think that one of those could be a very, very tradable item.
Kelly's okay. Bumped his knee on that last touchdown. He comes out going for another big one to Beebe. Almost as if he said, now listen, I got 2 touchdown catches for Andre Reed. The veteran, 35-year-old Lofton has one. Now let's see if I can't get Beebe on the scoreboard. Buffalo can put it in the end zone with that rapid pace offense. In fact, the leading touchdown maker in the NFL this year, 2 more than Washington. The Redskins were the highest scoring team with all of those field goals. But Buffalo scored more touchdowns than any NFL. Thurman Thomas is nowhere to go as Dino Hackett infiltrated at the 34-yard line with 9 minutes and 20 seconds left in the third period. 24-0 Buffalo in command, and thus far Marv Levy showing no indication of resting any of his stuff. Something he did against Detroit in the final season game when Kelly and Thurman Thomas didn't play. He'd been injured the week before.
I don't think he'll change, at least until the fourth quarter.
Valiamua can't get Kelly, and Kelly will run to the sidelines. He saw Hackett coming and wisely out of bounds at the 37. Kelly, we saw him on Friday when we arrived here Thursday, and Friday had a meeting with Jim, and those Irish eyes were smiling. He was so ready to play this game, and he said, I'm ready to play linebacker. I'll just put me in. Let's play the game today. And you really had a sense that this, all the kid in this 31-year-old man was right out on the surface.
Well, following last year's Super Bowl, the frustration, and then the loss to Kansas City earlier this year, and being so close to getting it all done again, boy, he is really inspired.
Chris Moore, it's a clunker, and it's downed at the 36-yard line. Kansas City will begin there when we return.
Hey, sports fans, get a ticket to Bud Bowl 4, and you could win $1 million cash. $1 million bucks? But you can't get that ticket just anywhere.
Bud Bowl tickets?
Huh?
Bud Bowl tickets. Sorry. Bud Bowl tickets?
Bud Bowl.
Bud Bowl tickets.
Pick up your ticket where you buy Budweiser, Bud Light, and Bud Dry Draft beer. And you just might be a winner.
Hey, guys, is this the line for... You know, it's not that important. Never mind.
Bud Bowl 4s. This time it's for $1 million bucks.
Each year, corporate America spends over $10 billion on overnight shipping. Yet, according to a report in the Wall Street Journal, $3 billion of that is wasted. If you find that kind of inefficiency alarming, call UPS. We can save you up to 40% on overnight deliveries and help prevent your profits from going up in smoke. UPS. We run the tightest ship in the shipping business.
It's not.
Trucks. The trucks you can depend on. The trucks that last. Now it's easier to own a Chevy truck.
In making an artistic statement, one's personal aroma shouldn't do the talking. So I use Right Guard Sport Stick with maximum protection. A true artiste should be known for inspiration, not perspiration. Right Guard Sport Stick. Anything less would be uncivilized.
Jim Kelly and the Buffalo Bills, 24-0 over Kansas City. And the way it shapes up now, Bill, it will be a battle of John Elway against Jim Kelly. And what a day for Elway yesterday.
That'll be a great matchup. Elway, after yesterday's heroics, but I tell you this Bill team looks to me like it's primed for the championship, going all the way.
Another fumble as they continue to do. It's Cornelius Bennett saying, I thought I had that one. They self-destruct Kansas City.
But one thing about Denver coming here, I'd assume next week. Oh, gee, that
well,
was
the handoff Vlasic to Williams.
Terribly handled. But Denver is such a poised team and such a well-coached team that they'll make it tough on anybody.
Cornelius Bennett having a big day. And now a whistle from the umpire, who puts in the earplug indicating he's getting a call from upstairs.
We're going to continue play.
Good. Great.
Marv Levy, a man who persevered. He just wouldn't hear the answer no in terms of his desire to be a coach. He was broadcasting University of California football games, just hoping to get a shot somewhere, and went to Montreal, and that led to his job here in Buffalo. Vlasic throws it right in the arms of Kelso, but unable to hang on. J.J. Burton, the closest chief, and the flag is down.
Oh, did Kelso want that ball? When that free safety sees that thing going over everybody's head, no receiver in sight.
Illegal hands, team number 54, defense.
Bailey of Buffalo guilty of the foul, and that'll give Kansas City a first down.
Here he comes blitzing, and there's the face under the chin and driving it all the way back. So no question, Zott got a shot under the chin, and it was the umpires right there to see that.
Zott got a shot. That's a nice, that iambic pentameter. What would you call it?
Dick, you ought to be on one of those late night, one of these.
They're all taken. I want one. I want a chance. They're all taken. First down, Kansas City, 38-yard line. Vlasic underneath, and Barnett, did he have control? No. Incomplete pass, no fumble.
Kirby Jackson was right there. Barnett didn't drive Kirby Jackson far enough off of him. You've got to give the impression on any short breaking pattern that you're about to burst up the field. But you see how Barnett was just sitting there waiting on the ball. So the timing wasn't good, plus that the fact a young receiver did not burst and break. He simply just turned and allowed Jackson to stand there right with him waiting for the ball.
Vlasic, a cold 1 for 6. Second and 10 from the 38. Midpoint third quarter. Barely got that one off. And the catch by Barnett at the 45-yard line, but a flag is down.
May have had an offside there.
Like Bruce Smith right in the middle of the line.
Offside, defense.
Yeah, now Bruce, I think it must just be pain. Here he comes off the field, and he's got to be hurt. The guy's just got to be hurt. He tries to make a big move, tries to make a play, but you see he's favoring that knee right at that point.
Well, we talked with him, and really was sad to hear him talk. He just is such a proud man, and bright and articulate, and expressing how emotionally down this year has been. He said he calls his dad every day down in Norfolk, Virginia, and he gets his strength from his father, who's been quite ill, and is watching and cheering his son today. This is Harvey Williams. A little kick step out to the 48-yard line, where James Williams, the #1 pick of the Bills a year ago from Fresno State, made the stop.
Well, it's really tough to get outside with that single back offense without tossing the ball, because right now the Bills are just coming straight up the field. They're either blitzing or they're taking gaps. There isn't anywhere to run the ball.
80,000 strong at Rich Stadium. They led the NFL in attendance again. Oh, what great fans. Marty Schottenheimer was quick to praise the populace of Buffalo. Great people, and they love football and know this game. Very word in there to drive to the 50-yard line and get the necessary yard for a first down at midfield. Let's see if Dr. Stats, if Kansas City gets into Buffalo range, will that be their first visit in Bills territory today?
I'd like to see Joe Pendry just go with that shotgun offense on first down and maybe run or pass from it. But they're so stereotyped into jumping into the shotgun on third down and staying with their basic formation on first and second. And when they're down 24-0, I'm not sure the formula is to be in this I formation.
Well, the account says they've been right where they are now, to the 50. And Vlasic eludes the rush, and does he get it to his receiver, Rob Thomas, or does Kirby Jackson intercept? Jackson has it.
just what we talked about a moment ago. Barnett is not, was that, I didn't get the receiver. Was that Thomas?
Yes, Rob Thomas.
Yeah, I thought
81.
it was Rob. Rob just, the ball was thrown too late. Rob had to be coming back for it. So the difference between Vlasic and DeBerg is that Vlasic's getting the ball off later. And when that's the case, the defensive back's got a great advantage. Here you see Jackson make a great break on that football.
His second interception today at 4 during the regular season. Vlasic 1 for 7, 2 interceptions off the bench for DeBerg, and here come the Bills. Thurman Thomas across the 15 of the 49 of Kansas City, where Leonard Griffin makes the tackle.
Now this is the time when the Bills would begin to huddle up and use the clock. Speaking with Jim Kelly, he said, we will huddle up whenever we want to take time off the clock, which they weren't doing last year, which in a sense might have even cost them the Super Bowl because they tended to not use enough time, giving the Giants a chance to come back and win. So now, this year, they'll huddle up in the later stages of the game, take time off the clock, come up slowly, and put the ball in play.
2nd and 5. Kelly intercepted by Lonnie Martz. And Martz, the linebacker for the Chiefs, is to the 43, the 3rd pickoff by Kansas City today.
Martz was just standing there in the zone, and Kelly threw it right through it. He was just in a position and just standing there. See this? Kelly threw the ball right to him. He just didn't account for him in the coverage, apparently.
And that interception, the defense gives Kansas City its deepest penetration of the game as they'll start this series at the 43 of Buffalo. So the turnover battle is being won by Kansas City. They are a +1 on 3 interceptions.
And you know, Kansas City offensively this year was in the top 10. It's not as though they haven't moved the ball and moved it well. But in a game like this style of offense, there's the play fake.
And the throw to Barnett, open in the secondary, and a first down at the 24.
Now that's the one well-executed pass play we've seen from Kansas City today.
On first down.
On first down, it was the play fake, and Barnett crossing the field deep in behind everybody. You'll see the play fake, and now Barnett, you can see him crossing the field in behind Bentley and in behind people who were trying to get the depth to cover. Talley didn't really see him coming. Here he comes across the field.
Barnett, who had 41 catches and 5 touchdowns in his rookie year out of Jackson State. Cousin of Fred, the Eagles wide receiver.
Now that noise, you can see the noise is bothering.
Again on first down, Vlasic to Hayes, the tight end, and he's to the 2-yard line.
Well, they had an idea. Mark Vlasic saw something, and he changed the play. And that's why everybody was trying to communicate with each other. So that was, again, well done. You see him take the ball, and I think it was a double rotation in the tight end being wide open, going right down the middle.
And look who comes all the way back from linebacker. He even makes part of that tackle, Cornelius Bennett.
Well, Bennett's really become a great player this year. In the past, I think there was some disappointment in him not reaching his potential, but right now, he's reached it.
There's a illegal movement by the right tackle. That'll cost Kansas City 5.
Ball start. Number 79. Offense. Fire to
Dave
snap.
Zott, who's playing out at right tackle. And it's because of Cornelius Bennett. Not only is Bennett doing a lot of terrific things on his own, but creating 5-yard errors by the man trying to stop him.
Well, if they've got Zott playing right tackle, that means a couple of other guys have failed along the way. Zott is a fine guard, but not a fine tackle. They'll bring him back at right tackle.
It's first and goal, not second. First and goal, and Vlasic calls time. Now, Kansas City with its best opportunity is Thurman Thomas getting a little treatment on an ankle. With 3:50 remaining in the 3rd period, Buffalo's shutout bid is challenged.
Like a rock. Of all the trucks in its class, only Chevy S10 Blazer gives you 4-wheel anti-lock brakes standard, which helps you steer through a curve while braking. Without it, you don't have as much control. And why should that be important to you? Because in the real world, safety doesn't have to be an option. Chevy trucks. The trucks you can depend on. The trucks that last.
This is a commercial for this clever little portable CD player from Magnavox, the inventors of CD technology. I'm sorry, actually, this is a commercial for the ingenious Magnavox 13-inch TV with a built-in VCR. I'm sorry, this is really a commercial for this brilliant 52-inch TV with 100-watt Dolby surround sound. I'm sorry, wrong again. This is supposed to be a commercial for this Magnavox 386 notebook computer. Hang on, we haven't finished! Oh, I'm sorry.
The ingenious products from Magnavox. They're smart, very smart.
Great new Pepsi can or what?
Introducing a whole new way to look at Pepsi and Diet Pepsi.
It's beautiful.
Dean Witter believed in listening.
Listen, not only to what our clients say, but what they mean. Each client has a level of comfort. Endeavor to find it. We measure success one investor at a time.
Some executives from the David Letterman show here in Buffalo. For this one, it's first and goal at the 8-yard line. Kansas City. Last shutout was in 1987 during the strike. Miami blanked them. The give is to Barry Word, and he's inside the 5 to about the 3. Second and goal. Shane Conlon from Penn State, who grew up just some 70 miles from Rich Stadium here in New York, made the tackle.
Well, Dave Lutz did a nice job of pulling and trapping that time.
Part of that Penn State 12-0 national championship team is Joe Paterno. I think the Nittany Lions, after their performance this year, are going to be tough again next season. Second and goal. That was Hayes, the tight end. Word again to the goal line, and touchdown Kansas City. Three yards for Barry Word to make it 24-6 as Lonnie Mart's interception sets up that touchdown.
Well, these are two well-executed plays for a very, very short yardage. And you'll see the pulling guard right there and Word going inside. So in both cases, one time Zott, one time Lutz, pulling and then leading up through on the play. And they got the short yardage. They got the touchdown out of it.
Nick Lowry's try for point is good. And Kansas City quiets the crowd for a moment as Buffalo leads it now 24-7. 3:08 left in the third quarter. Gives us a chance to remind you tonight, prime time begins with a weirdest show on television, Erie, Indiana, followed by television's funniest new family, the Torkelsons. Country is hotter than ever on NBC's Hot Country Nights, and that'll be followed by the Sunday night movie. Tonight it'll be The Arms of a Killer starring Jacqueline Smith. That's our lineup tonight on NBC. I hope you'll be with us. Bruce Smith, truly a shadow of his talented self. And one can only hope the offseason will provide time for that knee to mend. That is his hope, and he feels that's just all it's going to take is time. And he came back too soon. He felt earlier in the year and then sidelined again and just not able to put full weight on that injured knee.
You know, we talk about superstitions of players, and his answer was a pretty darn good one. He just said, our superstition is if you don't beat the hell out of the guy in front of you, you lose.
That's pretty good.
Pretty simple.
There it is. He was inactive because of the knee surgery, and then off and on, and probably typical of most athletes. They don't want to stay on the sidelines. They're eager to return, and sometimes it only lengthens their injury, rehab, and despair. Kick by Lowry, comes down to Edwards at the 4. To the 25. Finally down at the 29-yard line. James Saxon, 21, from San Jose State, made the stop.
Well, the receivers have all had pretty active days.
Now, BB leading them with 6, but it's Reed on top with the 2 touchdown catches.
I think McKellar's helped out early on, playing against that zone, catching the ball between people, and opening things up from behind. What a crew, though. They're all at their very best, the best years of their careers.
That's like a great baseball lineup. You can't pitch around it. Kenneth Davis replaces Thurman Thomas. Davis has done a tremendous job as the support. There are only 3 running backs on the roster for Buffalo. Thomas, this man, Kenneth Davis, and fullback Carwell Gardner. Davis this year, his numbers, 624 yards rushing. That's 90, but in 1991, this past season, he had 624 yards. Almost twice last season. He's from TCU. He had 20 catches. He's built along the same lines as Thurman Thomas, 5'10" and 209. And Thomas apparently a little gimpy on that ankle through for the day. He had 69 yards today and 4 catches. They basically stopped Thomas, but that wasn't enough for Kansas City. That was one of their goals. Bill Moss, offside.
Moss, by the way, has had his best year, I think, as a football player. 8-year veteran, going into his 9th, but he's had an excellent year.
Encroachment, number 63.
That'll be a first down. And Leonard Smith certainly in the spirit of the playoffs. And I understand we're talking with Ted Marchibroda. If he gets a coach job, he's going to do that. Ted will put a little coach back there. Just
right over the top.
How about you? Are you an NBC or anything like that? You're going to kind of cut that into the back of your head?
I just have it tattooed on my rear end.
Not the answer we were looking for as Davis goes to the 45-yard line.
Did I say that?
I'm not sure. There's Ted Marchibroda, longtime assistant, former head coach with the Colts when they were in Baltimore, a terrific offensive mind who has been the orchestrator of this no-huddle offense. I guess it's kind of a mark of how good a teacher he is when the pupil takes over the show on test day. Here's the reverse to Reed, and he has a first down at the Kansas City 49.
I'll tell you the wisdom of Ted Marchibroda, though. So many coaches are possessive and in a way selfish. They want to run their category of football. Marchibroda turns it over to other people, to the players. Kelly calling the play, Reich being the contact man. Now that shows the wisdom and knowledge that he has at this point, that maybe at one point in his career he would have thought, well, I have to do it or no one can do it.
He probably has about as small an ego as there is on the sidelines in the NFL.
Yeah, he is. They think the world of him.
First down, Buffalo leading 24-7. Final minute of the third quarter. Kenneth Davis off that right side. Davis was a Plan B acquisition by Buffalo a couple of years ago from Green Bay. He was the Packers' number 2 pick back in '86 when he came out of TCU as the Texas Twister.
So often a backup running back takes on the habits and the gestures and the style of the guys playing behind. In this case, Davis is much of a Thurman Thomas when you see his style. And maybe that's by selection also. The coaches wanted someone with that kind of athletic ability.
Second and long, Davis again. Ooh, met rudely by Lonnie Marks and wrestled down, no gain. And that'll be the end of the third period. Buffalo's smile starting to widen, 24-7 with a quarter to go.
Hi, join Hank Williams Jr., Sawyer Brown, Patty Lovelace, Billy Dean, and me, Tammy Wynette.
For an all-new Hot Country Nights, NBC Tonight.
Hi, Bob Cousy here for your New England Lincoln Mercury dealers. You know, there is a lot of great tradition here at the Garden, and that's what you'll find in the new 92 Mercury Grand Marquis, America's true full-size sedan. A powerful V8, available ABS brakes, dual airbags, and more. No wonder it's New England's #1 selling full-size car. If you ask me, some traditions only get better. See your New England Lincoln Mercury dealer today.
40 years ago, Dunkin' Donuts made the freshest donuts you could buy.
I still do.
Dunkin' Donuts, the freshest then, the freshest now.
No one puts more into life than the Golden Girls.
I want you to pluck me like a fruit.
They're living proof that laughter is the best medicine.
The only thing we have in common is under the sheets.
What's under the sheets?
They're outrageous, and they're here weekdays. The Golden Girls.
Weekday afternoons at 5, here on Channel 10.
David Waxler speaks about commitment.
I'm David Waxler. My practice concentrates on cases of death and catastrophic injury. At Hamill, Waxler, Allen & Collins, we've earned a reputation for results. My rule is simple. Do everything that I'd expect done if it was my family. Everything.
For your free consultation, call toll-free Hamill, Waxler, Allen & Collins, a law firm with a reputation for results.
Newswatch 10 at sunrise with Frank Coletta and Art Lake.
Some chew tobacco, fortunately fewer and fewer. Some chew gum, some, well, a few chew swizzle sticks. That's Walt Corey, the defensive coordinator for the Bills. He's going on to his third week on that one. He said he went to red during the holidays just to get in the mood, but that's his little nervous habit, chewing on those swizzle sticks. Says, you know, you just can't destroy one of these.
Well, you don't have to bend over so far to a drinking fountain either. You know, it's right there.
Thurman Thomas back in. And on the first play of the fourth period, down to the 40-yard line.
They just really combine a great, what you call a draw trap, where Thomas is going to run a draw, but it's going to get a trap block, in this case by Parker, and it's just a beautiful job of coming up the field on the draw. Very, very well done.
Short of the first down, however, and Deron Cherry and Irvin Randall in on the stop. So it's fourth and a long one at the Kansas City 40 as Thomas comes out and Kenneth Davis and Carwell Gardner are in the backfield.
Well, this could be the one break of the ball game right here. If they can just get the ball.
It's Davis over the top, and he may have the first down as he lands at the 38. That looks good enough.
Well, he ran a goal line front with two tight ends, a big fullback as the flanker, and then Davis going right up over the top. They acted as though they were right on the goal line. Look at the blockers go down low.
Boy, mid-air collisions as defenses more and more trying to time that mid-air collision. Now Davis gets Buffalo the first down, and they continue possession, and now it's the Bills using up the clock as Mitch Farrow comes in for Jim Richard at left guard. Farrow, one of the true characters on this Buffalo squad. Thurman Thomas to the 32-yard line.
And this is often where the Buffalo team will get a lot of its running stats. We talk about them being right at the top as the rushing team in the NFL. So much of it's from the middle of the third quarter all the way through the game, because they're running out the clock, using their huddle.
Len Parker limps off number 74, and Mitch Farrow moves over to guard now as Parker, the 304-pounder from Arizona, out of commission. 2nd and 5. Both guards going. He could go all the way, and Cherry denies a touchdown.
Well, Jim Richard deserves the credit for that play. Both he and Parker pulled and did beautiful jobs of blocking, and McKellar, the tight end. Now, that was the kind of play that was blocked beautifully. It was blocked. You see both people pulling. Look at Richard right there. He turns his man out, and you see Farrat kicking his man out.
And that pushes Thomas over 100 yards, Bill. 105 yards for Thurman Thomas. He's not been spectacular today, but that's his longest run. It's so productive.
Well, you have to give a lot of credit to this offensive line. They say it's one of the best in football, and certainly demonstrating it today.
Kenneth Davis now the running back. He gets the ball. And Deron Cherry finally downs him at the 5-yard line.
Second and 2. And at this point also, you have to concede that the Kansas City Chiefs have got to be, maybe 8 to 10% letting down slightly, tiring somewhat, and really being blocked well. Intensity starts to wane a little bit.
but Davis again right into the backs of his line and then spins outside. J.C. Pearson and others ride him out of bounds, and the crowd looking for a penalty.
Well, this is where you see certain people like Dino Hackett and Duron Sherry, just their intensity restates itself in tough situations like that. J.C. Pearson, nice job.
And Hackett coming over to finish him off. First down at the 2-yard line. First and goal
at the 2.
And Thomas back in. This is a long drive for the Bills, 13th play. They struck quickly through the air earlier. Kelly to Reed, 25. Kelly to Reed, 53 yards. Shorter pass, Kelly to Lofton. And we don't know who called this timeout. Play's being reviewed.
What part of it?
Frank Reich over to talk with Kelly. Keep this up, he says, and the milkshakes are on me.
Frank may have to put his helmet on in a minute here, too.
Kelly, of course, after every Buffalo home game is the team host for an affair at his house. Part of the camaraderie of this team, just trying to mark the place where he went out of bounds. It appears right at the 3-yard line was where he made his step out, or slightly inside the 3.
Marv Levy, slip of paper. Maybe it's the menu for the next pregame meal.
Schottenheimer, you know, he felt so confident about this game. He really felt his team was totally ready. Well, about the 2.5-yard line. We've put it down. It's sitting on the 2 right now. Schottenheimer saying go right up over the top on this one. They're going to be diving over. Schottenheimer, along with Carl Peterson, his executive, rebuilding this team. And 3-yard line is the review board's decision.
Well, they have come a long way. If you think of the state of the team when Carl Peterson and Marty Schottenheimer joined and put together this organization, it was not derelict, certainly, but it was certainly a team that was down, way down in every sense, and they've made it a perennial challenger and are just 2 or 3 plays yet away from being in the category of the Bills.
To show you what a drought it was, the last time Kansas City won a playoff game was the game they featured at halftime 25 years ago, 1966 season, or first day of 67. So they don't get the first down because of the remark. So 3rd and short, and Davis dived just as Marty Schottenheimer had indicated and was met right there. We'll see if he got enough for the first down. And Pete Metzler is one of the tight ends for Buffalo.
These tight ends for Buffalo are primarily blockers. Metzler comes in the short yardage situations, goal line situations. 6'7", 250, he's a big guy.
They must have a pretty good off-season basketball team, the Bills, with McKellar, who was a star player, NCAA Division II champs at Jacksonville State of Alabama, and Metzler, who was a 2-time Little All-America at Wabash College in Indiana. So it's shy of the first down, 4th and inches, and Frank Reich comes in along with Norwood to try the field goal. This one just a yard more than an extra point try.
Pretty brave job by the Chiefs, just holding them on.
It'll be a 20-yard
attempt. To attempt a 21-yard field goal.
Norwood 2 for 2. It's 27-7 Buffalo.
The same bold engineering that made the Mitsubishi Diamante such a successful luxury performance sedan has now taken automotive luxury
in an entirely different direction. Introducing the all-new Mitsubishi Montero, a luxury automobile whose luxuries include state-of-the-art four-wheel drive. The 1992 Montero by Mitsubishi. The word is getting around.
Listen to the trees. They're trying to tell us something about what our polluted air is doing to them and to us. Fortunately, there's an answer. Natural gas. The cleanest burning fossil fuel we have. It can help save the air and everything that lives in it. Listen to the trees, because air pollution is a problem hanging over all of us. Use natural gas and we'll all breathe easier.
3M salutes the Olympic athletes who found a better way. Whose ideas were so original, there's no going back. That same innovative thinking helped us invent Scotch brand tapes, and people have been sticking with us ever since. 3M, innovation working for you.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Mitsubishi Montero, a luxury car with the luxury of four-wheel drive. By Pepsi. By UPS, offering 10:30 guaranteed overnight air delivery. And by Dean Witter. There are many ways to measure success. Dean Witter measures success one investor at a time.
Football harvest time in Buffalo. Bills defeating Miami and the Raiders last year on their way to the Super Bowl and just missing, and starting impressively after the bye week a week ago, and that's Delwiso just drilling it through the end zone. He's been valuable in that regard. 26 times he kicked the ball non-returnable. And here comes Vlasic in Kansas City starting at the 20. And don't forget, next Saturday on NBC, first it'll be basketball, the Tar Heels and the Irish, that from Madison Square Garden, New York, 1:30 Eastern Time. And that'll be followed by the annual affair out in Honolulu, the Kodak Hula Bowl, 3:30 Eastern Time. Top college seniors in action in Hawaii.
I want to tell you, the pro scouts will be out there, and a lot of them will go to the practices.
From the 20, Vlasic with a flag down, and it's before the snap.
You didn't get my humor, did you, Dick?
What was that again?
I said a lot of pro scouts will be out at the Hula Bowl.
Right.
And some will go to the practice.
Ball starts.
Some will go.
Number 74. Prior to the snap.
I thought it was
offense.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. I'm sure the Blesto group will really be pleased to hear that.
That might go. We could kind of have a top 10 of Bill Walsh's funniest things.
Yeah.
Maybe we could have a list like that.
Probably get 2 or 3 anyway.
Well, if not, we'll get Kent Hull's top list of opposing nose guards.
Boy. That's a fun one.
So another procedure penalty against Kansas City. That was Derek Graham. With Cornelius Bennett. They're lined up again against each other. Vlasic throws way short of J.J. Burton.
Intended for J.J. Burton is incomplete.
Well, then, in light of yesterday's dramatic comeback by Denver to beat Houston to advance in the AFC side of the playoffs, this one, the drama just punctured early by Jim Kelly's accuracy and a Bills defense that smothered Kansas City's running game from play one. Steve the Bird sideline with an injured thumb. 2nd and 15, Vlasic. Another interception, the hat trick for Buffalo. This time it's Leonard Smith.
Well, you have to give a lot of credit to Cornelius Bennett again, number 97. Now, Smith got the interception, but Bennett was the man that forced Vlasic to move, and in doing so, the timing of the pass broke down. And so, consequently, the pass rush combined with the coverage got the interception.
Ball at the Kansas City 31. There's the pass rush
right there. Now, watch. Here comes Vlasic. He has to move. Now, when he throws, it's very, very late, and meanwhile, the coverage is there. Well, that's the combination in pass rush, pass coverage that the great defenses develop.
Smith from McNeese State, who had 3 during the regular season, known more for his hard hitting than pass thefts, but mimicking the tomahawk chop. Kansas City at Arrowhead, of course, they heard that cry as the Chiefs ran up the score and pounded Buffalo convincingly. In some ways, that may have served to their disadvantage today. Kansas City's surprise came in the middle of the year when Marty Schottenheimer would much rather have traded it for this day.
That's why you just comparative scores just don't get it done in the National Football League. When teams play each other twice in a division, or once regular, once playoff, whatever. Comparative scores from just about 0.
Buffalo certainly living up to its 3-game favoritism. About 10 points. Davis tackled at the 29. Clock running, 9:45 left. It would appear it will be Denver and Buffalo, and that it will be the early game with Washington hosting the late game on Sunday next. That would mean 12 noon for NFL Live next Sunday. 2 of the class of '83, Elway and Kelly, matched up. What a game that was last year. Remember, 1-point game. Buffalo scored 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter to win it when Denver seemed to have it. Almost into the arms of Eric Everett as Beebe turned, and the ball right there. Back to last year, that was where they blocked a field goal and intercepted a pass for a touchdown. Did Buffalo to rally to win by 1.
Well, in a sense, you could call that defensive pass interference. I mean, offensive pass interference.
Norwood to try his 3rd field goal. This is a sizable opportunity, 47 yards.
Well, that's a familiar distance.
Right on target. Maybe a portent. Last year it missed in the Super Bowl. Good from 47 today.
Great new Pepsi can or what?
Introducing a whole new way to look at Pepsi and Diet Pepsi.
It's beautiful.
Before purchasing an object of considerable value, some feel it's wise to have it appraised. Appraisals are now in on the new Mitsubishi Diamante. Needless to say, we're very pleased. The Diamante by Mitsubishi. The word is getting around.
He could have had the 60-foot sailboat, the house on the 18th green. But all Ned Crowley ever really wanted was a home on the range. At Dean Witter, our retirement plans are as individual as the people who dream.
We measure success one investor at a time.
Well, boys, how do you like the new backyard?
For the big game, stop by KFC for our super buckets. For just $9.99, pass a 15-piece bucket, tackle a variety bucket, or huddle around a bucket of 36 hot wings.
The KFC Super Buckets. Get them in Lake Edna or your neck of the woods.
Scott Norwood out of Reich's hold. Same distance. The Super Bowl kick, and he's into the tomahawk chop mode as well, and the fans here at Rich Stadium mimicking the Kansas City fans chant as they celebrated the big win earlier this year, 33-6. It's now 30-7 Buffalo, and Del Riso denies a return again.
Oh, I like that kickoff. It's worth having him on the roster just for those kickoffs.
Denver and Buffalo at Denver, where the Broncos just play so very well, would be one story. How about Denver here?
Well, you know, I'm a big fan of Elway and big fan of Reeves and that entire team. But Buffalo looks to me as they're the best in the AFC, in many years, and going to be very tough on the Redskins. But meanwhile, as long as Elway's out there and the Denver team has that poise they're noted for, they can come in and beat anybody.
Bob, you're so with the Bills, you got to get an early lead on them. Classic intercepted again. This time it's Clifford Hicks.
Well, it's a matter of being able to cope with the Bills in the first half when Denver does come into town. They're going to have to find a way to practice the few short days between now and the playoff. This no-huddle offense and the rapid movement of the team. This not only getting the ball in play, but the quickness of the team. Denver's really going to have to do some adapting. There's Bennett again coming around the outside. Great interception.
And every pass seems so well defended by Buffalo, not only pressuring the quarterback. That's Phil Hansen, the rookie, who did an outstanding job hitting Vlasic, forcing the hurry. But every receiver well blanketed. Hicks gets the interception. Vlasic's number is 3 for 12. 4 interceptions, 49 yards total. Well, Frank Wright comes in at quarterback.
And Dan Reeves is going to have to get his team practicing as soon as they can, using 2 offensive units. Rapid firing, one play after another to deal with this rapid fire Bill offense. The plays are run in 20 seconds when they are really on the move. Of course, now they're huddling up, but early in the game, it takes about 20 seconds to play. And you have to adapt to it on this surface, with this crowd. It's tough.
It's Jim Richer that has called for some attention as you look into the eyes of Frank Reich, backup quarterback who's operating with 3 tight ends, which tells you that Marv Levy intends for him just to run the ball here and run as much time as he can. 8:32 left. I guess we can close the book on Jim Kelly. 23 for 35. Couldn't have a greater contrast in the productivity of the opposing quarterbacks today. 273 yardage, 3 touchdowns for Kelly. The only bad marks on his card, 3 interceptions.
Well, those interceptions against Denver could be deadly.
And there was one that still Kevin Ross had in his arms. It would have been a touchdown at 14-0 Buffalo. That who knows if that would have changed the emotions of this game. But Buffalo just very good football team. Other than losing to Kansas City, their only other defeats were to New England 16-13 and in overtime to Detroit in a meaningless last game in many ways, 17-14. So they, other than the Kansas City game, could well have been a 15-1 club.
As Joe Gibbs knows, the bottom line is that Super Bowl trophy. All the other things in between just lead up to that.
Davis picking his way. 26-yard line, a couple yards from a first down. Lonnie Martz made the stop.
Dick, when you get to this level, when you're talking about the final 4, 6, or 8 teams, that Super Bowl trophy is the absolute bottom line. There is no second place. And the Redskins, of course, have been there a couple of times and done it.
In fact, the worst thing is being second place. That's Denver.
Yeah.
They're almost better. And it's so unkind that the loser of the Super Bowl is punished for it all, and yet they're better than everyone else but one. But Denver, Minnesota, Bud Grant stay the same. 3rd and almost 3. Davis again. Right at the yardsticks. It'll be close. Ron Cherry again.
Keith Ballard did a nice job of pulling that time and leading up through the hole. He's an excellent young 6'6", 325, can move. Alabama A&M, they must be proud of a guy like that.
325 going on about 345.
The great thing is to see these big, massive guys pull and run. It's amazing.
7 minutes left in the game. Buffalo well in command, 30-7, and another first down for the Bills. You know, there are only 2 teams in the NFL with nicknames for human beings. For human beings.
A Chiefs, one of them?
Well, Cleveland Browns. Is it Paul Brown? And some say
for
the Brown
beings.
Bomber.
I thought Chiefs
named
were
after
human
person.
beings.
No, not Chiefs. And the other, the Bills. Buffalo Bills after wild Bill Cody with Buffalo Bills. Get it? Buffalo Bills. Threw that in. I don't know if you knew that.
Potpourri of information is why a lot of people have stayed tuned.
Davis to the 11 and another first down. Well, he's got good quickness, doesn't he? Burris and Pearson finally make the stop. And the clock will continue to run. 6:15 left, and must be agonizing for Marty Schottenheimer. As you say, so much goes into this, starting not at the preseason, going all the way back to the Plan B selections in early spring. And
all the way, all those drills in training camp, up in the morning, out on the job, working. Wow. You know, they get down to this, and they get on that plan. And the Chiefs can take a lot of satisfaction in what they've been able to do in the last few years.
Davis. Dragged down at the 5-yard line by Tom Sims.
You see Duron Cherry, every play he's in on the tackle. And here's a guy that's 5'11", maybe 200 pounds now, probably about 195. Played 11, going into his 12th year. What a competitor. Now, Duron Cherry, to me, would be a great football coach. He's got a lot, as you know, a lot of other things going for him in his life. He doesn't need to have to be a coach. But he is so bright and so knowledgeable, so articulate, and obviously he's a great competitor. Now, he would be a real fine coach at some point in his life.
Second and about 4 for Davis. Touchdown! So 2 fourth-quarter interceptions of Vlasic, one by Smith, one by Hicks, have led to 10 more points, and the lead is 36-7. $33 yards in 6 plays after Hicks' interception.
Well, everybody's participated. You have to give credit to the offensive line, the defensive line, all the substitute people. They've all played championship football.
Kenneth Davis threw a big hole to make it 37-7.
It has a dual overhead camshaft design. 4 valves per cylinder, and a responsive double wishbone suspension. The Acura Integra, an idea that began with a Formula One race car and has been evolving ever since.
That was then. This is now. Odor prevention then. Odor prevention now. Introducing the pump deodorant from Old Spice. It beats the leading aerosol deodorant. Actually prevents odor better with a superior formula that's right on target. Unlike that messy cloud. Pump up your odor prevention with the Old Spice pump.
This winter, sports' biggest stars are on NBC. Michael leads the world champs against Isaiah and the Pistons. Detroit heads to Boston to battle Larry Bird and the Celtics. A rematch of last year's NBA Finals as the Bulls take on the Lakers. And a day of shooting stars at the All-Star Game. The NBA's just beginning on NBC. Come fly with us.
Back at Rich Stadium, Buffalo 37-7. Del Riso to Harvey Williams. And Williams skitters out to the 25-yard line, while our producer John Francis and John Gonzalez, our director, had these shots of Buffalo touchdowns early. 0-0. Jim Kelly looks off the defense, and a beautiful throw to Andre Reed. 7-0 Buffalo in the first quarter. And the Bills came right back. Another touchdown to Reed.
No deep safety. So Pearson's all by himself in a foot race, and of course the ball is thrown so that the receiver can get it at full stride.
53 yards for that score, and then 35-year-old James Lofton put on an all-pro move.
He's got the move. Kevin Ross is completely fooled. Kevin's looking back in that backfield. James starts a slant, breaks right back up the field.
That was the first score of the second half. It was 17-0 at the intermission, and that blew it open, 24-0. And the Bills on the roller coaster since Mark Pike, 94, the injured player. Scoring drives much like those of the playoffs of last year when they scored 44 against Miami and 51 in pounding the Raiders in the AFC Championship game.
I don't want to jumping past a Denver Bill game, just hypothetically, if the Bills win over Denver, then going indoors in Minneapolis gives the Bills a great advantage on this surface. They're so used to it. The artificial surface for Buffalo is really an advantage.
Where the Redskins, their home field on grass.
Typically on a slower field outdoors. Now, I'm never going to root against Joe Gibbs because he could very well be the greatest coach of our time. But indoors on that super fast surface, these Bills are deadly.
Who has been hammered for 4 interceptions in relieving Steve DeBerg. Gets it out to Todd McNair. And McNair, good yardage to the 37. That'll be a first down. Darryl Talley, on his way to the Pro Bowl, makes the tackle. Well, Talley, he had a fierce look in his eyes when we chatted with him earlier this week. They obviously had seen too much of the film at Kansas City of the game earlier.
Well, he's had 5 interceptions this year. He concentrated on not only
There's almost another. Leonard Smith was in position for another interception and maybe a touchdown. Had he thought just about interception and not the touchdown too, might have had that one.
Now, speaking of Talley, he's really spent time this year on learning pass defense. Taking the proper angles, responding to a ball, and it's paid off, as I've said. 5 interceptions. He's always been an excellent pass rusher and always a fine run-defending linebacker.
Well, his relationship with Bruce Smith, when Smith went down, then that changed Talley's whole assignment. Instead of just playing games and rushing the passer with Smith, he had to cover. Look out. Screen. Middle screen to McNair. First down. He may have another out to the 49-yard line where Talley makes another tackle. Derek Thomas.
Just wasn't Derek's day. I know they moved him around. He pass rushed from the opposite side on occasion, but they handled him.
After 4 sacks in the game earlier. Classic underneath. It's McNair. 3 straight completions to McNair and a first down at the Buffalo 36. Well, Kansas City this year, their worst defeat came in the next to last game when they lost by 14 at San Francisco, 28-14. We're in basically every game of the 6 losses suffered by Marty Schottenheimer's team. But this will be their biggest hammering, just as they handed the Bills their most lopsided loss. Classic dumps it off to Burton. And he has about 11 to the 26-yard line. Another first down. Leonard Smith on the cover.
Well, these are all experiences for Vlasic that are part of his profile as a football player. These are helpful. At some point, as he matures into the starting quarterback for this ball club.
Underneath and right through the hands of Emil Harry. Thank our help in the booth today. Elliot Cobb, Jerry Haller, Larry Pollock, Steve Solomon, Michael Gluck, Ross Schneiderman, Joe Constanza, all our NBC cameramen, audio technical folks who undoubtedly will be back here next Sunday.
You know, this coaching derby is interesting. I'm waiting to see which team Mike Holmgren goes with or Mike White goes with. Denny Green, these are some pretty sharp guys, and I hope all three will become head coaches in the next few days.
Underneath and catch for Fred Jones right off the turf. The first down, but inside the 20 as Kansas City tries to score a cosmetic touchdown, down 37-7. Approaching the 2-minute timeout. Again, it's Jones, and Jones has a touchdown. The man who scored the only touchdown last week that gave the Chiefs the win against the Raiders makes it 37-13. 20 yards on the play.
Jones showed something that he can go. 5'9", 180 pounds. Now watch him accelerate. And when he sees that, he just takes off. Some pretty quick guys just couldn't handle him.
Lowry in to try the point. Bill, we said at the very start of the game that the key, both coaches said you have to stop the run. And Kansas City's offense, in that regard, that's where the Bills made their statement early, and really the game changed the first couple of series.
They did, you know, and pass also, of course, as you know, big factor.
No show.
Say you need something set overnight.
Those prima donnas.
There are a few companies you can call.
The part's on its way.
But say you need it by 10:30 a.m. Guaranteed, there are two. But only one is so efficient and reliable. They get it there on time for far less.
It's showtime.
Which is why to some people, there is only one, UPS.
Powerful display by these Buffalo Bills. They were 13-3 on the regular season. Thurman Thomas and Jim Kelly the rest of the afternoon off, and Kansas City tees it up where they're going to aim to the near side apparently for an onside kick, and the Bills defense crowding their hands players on the near sidelines.
So they practice this about I'd assume about 6 times a week, 6 different instances, and it's a hit or miss play. They want it to bounce 3 times. There's the third bounce. There's the ball.
And it's covered back at the 46-yard line by Don Beebe.
Usually on the third bounce, it'll really accelerate up into the air, and that's what they all hope. Of course, it's about a 1 in 30 chance of success.
With those 3 coaches you said hope get NFL jobs?
Well, I'm really hopeful that Mike Holmgren of the 49ers gets his shot this year. He's outstanding. Mike White of the Raiders. And, of course, Denny Green has done a marvelous job at Stanford. Now, those are 3 bright, articulate, young, knowledgeable guys. Of course, I'm well acquainted with all 3. But I can guarantee they'd bring a winner wherever they went.
You know, I think it's really says something about you. I know you campaign for young coaches and try to help them best you can, and you've been instrumental in helping others prior to this time get head coaching jobs in the league. Take your recommendation. Last play before the 2-minute timeout, and it's Davis straight ahead for good yardage, about 7, and we have a timeout.
Alcoa presents Fantastic Finishes, 1968. 65 seconds left, trailing by 3, the Raiders begin a drive. At precisely 7 o'clock, the network switches to the story of Heidi. Meanwhile, back in Oakland, the Raiders score not once, but twice in 8 seconds. While network viewers watch the story of a little Swiss mountain girl, the Raiders miraculously turn a 3-point loss into an 11-point victory. The most fantastic finish that nobody ever saw.
Unfortunately, this is how we live. Groceries in, garbage out. Groceries in, garbage out. Fortunately, there are aluminum cans. You use them and recycle them. Use them and recycle them. It's that easy. So please do your part. We're not asking you to save the world. We're just asking you to take better care of it.
It's a fast-paced, gotta-go world we live in. So, why not sit back and enjoy the ride in a luxury performance car designed to keep up with it? The 5-cylinder, 20-valve Acura Vigor.
Alka-Seltzer Plus goes to the Arctic Circle, where the toughest colds live.
Alka-Seltzer Plus takes care of the aches, the runny nose. Alka-Seltzer Plus has done exactly what I've needed it to do. It does the job.
Alka-Seltzer Plus, tough medicine for tough winter colds.
2 minutes to go. Our executive producer, NBC Sports, is Terry O'Neill. Our coordinating producer of football on NBC, John Perazis, also our producer today, and directed by John Gonzalez. Associate Director, Will Belkey. Production Associate, Jerome Ingram. Dr. Stats Elliott Taub with us. Congratulations on the engagement. It's going to make 1992 a special year as Kenneth Davis and the Bills continue to celebrate the start of this new year. You know, with 37 points today, and you go back to last year and you acknowledge the names of them, ladies and gentlemen, who provided you the coverage today from NBC. They have averaged, the Bills, their last 3 playoff games at home, Miami last year, Raiders last year, today, 44 points a game.
Again, it's the maturity of this ball club, how it's matured, and also how it's played on this surface, this quick surface, artificial surface.
Penalty against the Chiefs takes it down to the 25-yard line. Well, last year, it was a classic comeback win, the Buffalo-Denver game, as Denver had a sizable lead. In fact, we're kicking a field goal that would really put it out of range. That field goal was blocked, taken 80 yards for a touchdown. Denver got it back, and interception for another touchdown by Leonard Smith, 39 yards. And they scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter as Denver lost 29-28 when they seemed to have a victory, certainly, in the fourth quarter. Well, they'll be rematched for the AFC Championship and a trip to the Super Bowl. And our buddies on the Old Spice NFL Live postgame report coming up next will be chewing on that, including a visit with Dan Reeves live from Denver. And our congratulations not only to the Bills today, but to the Broncos yesterday for their victories. And we'll look forward to calling the contest again next Sunday. Buffalo tries to repeat a Super Bowl trip. Denver with a lot of memories to be erased, and John Elway said it well. His career and his life really won't be complete till he gets that Super Bowl chance and goes home with the trophy and not without.
And Kansas City will be back, I'll guarantee you.
It's a team that gets better every year. They're well directed from the executive level. Lamar Hunt on down through their coaching staff and Marty Schottenheimer down to the final 43 seconds. They'll have to run one more play. There's about a 7-second difference between the play clock and the game clock, and then that'll be it. Cornelius Bennett, boy, if you're voting for MVP on defense, he wins that one, just no contest. And Jim Kelly directing that offense. No wonder he gets so many votes. With 20 seconds to go, they've acknowledged, and Marty Schottenheimer will shake the hand of Marv Levy. 37-14. Buffalo really never in doubt. And this enthusiastic crowd of 80,182 at Rich Stadium in Buffalo with good cause to celebrate, and they'll be back next Sunday as the Bills and the Denver Broncos play for the AFC Championship. Buffalo today, 37-14. You've been watching NBC coverage of the National Football League. For Bill Walsh, this is Dick Enberg. Stay tuned for the Old Spice post-game report.
Ever wonder why your face hurts after you shave? It's simple. When you shave, you lose face because you strip away the moisture that's there to protect it, and that hurts. But now you can start saving face with new conditioning hydrogel from Old Spice. Used every day, it adds moisture and keeps it there to help defend against the assault of shaving, so your face feels and stays that way. So why lose face? Use new conditioning hydrogel and start saving face.
There's nothing else like it on Earth, or maybe even in heaven. It stretches for 725 miles, and it's called the California Coastline. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo territory, all across America. And every day, with every car nationwide, only Alamo gives you all those miles for free, including the ones where the people bask in the sun and watch the seals, and the seals bask in the sun and watch the people.
Most guys kick back on the weekend. Jack, on the other hand, so how do you feel?
Ready to rock and roll.
Only one beer has the taste as genuine as the people who drink it. Budweiser.
Tomorrow,
we're sleeping in.
In a world of sweeping changes, there is one certainty. The financial strength of the rock. The Prudential Rock Solid.
All right, folks, Bob Costas with Bill Parcells and Will McDonough back at our NFL Live studios. Coming up on the Old Spice postgame report, we'll have interviews, time permitting, with both the Bills and the Chiefs. We know for sure we'll have Paul McGuire talking with Marty Schottenheimer. We'll speak live with Denver coach Dan Reeves, whose Broncos will now obviously oppose the Bills in next Sunday's AFC Championship in Buffalo. We'll get started right after these messages from your local station.
A promotional fee has been paid to NBC by Delta Airlines. We love to fly, and it shows.
This is a promo to tell you Seinfeld's moving to 9, not 9:30. Wednesday night, 9. Why don't they put me on the news if they want people to know? Soviet Union collapses. Seinfeld moves to 9.
This is Jack Klugman, next on Quincy.
We were together in Auschwitz.
And Mr. Sumner claims the Holocaust is nothing more than an elaborate hoax.
I was there. I saw it all.
Bolted from the inside? Yes.
Why would Sumner willfully try to deny that part of history?
Maybe so nobody could point to it and say this must never happen again.
Tonight at 12:35, here on Channel 10. Wherever it breaks. Whatever it takes. From the reporters on the front line to the anchors you trust the most. NBC News and Newswatch 10. All the news and nothing less.
40 years ago, Dunkin' Donuts made the freshest donuts you could buy.
I still do.
Dunkin' Donuts, the freshest then, the freshest now.
Jeff Latham, Newswatch 10 Weather. This is the Old Spice NFL postgame report, brought to you by Old Spice Fragrance and Aftershave. Cool, crisp, and unmistakably masculine. Old Spice.
Okay, Detroit and Dallas kick off in about 15 minutes for the berth opposite Washington in the NFC title game at RFK next Sunday, and the AFC championship matchup is set. Next Sunday at Rich Stadium, we'll be on the air at 12 noon with NFL Live, and then the Broncos and Bills will kick off at 12:30 Eastern Time. Now, these teams did not meet this season, but Dan Reeves' club did visit Rich Stadium last year in Week 4, a wild affair that saw the Broncos seemingly in control. This third-quarter touchdown run by Sammy Winder put Denver up 21-9, but then the roof fell in on the Broncos. Watch, David Treadwell will attempt a field goal early in the fourth. Nate Odoms blocks it. Cornelius Bennett picks it up and goes 80 yards for the touchdown, a 10-point turnaround. But it didn't stop there. On the ensuing Denver possession, John Elway's pass will be deflected and picked off by Leonard Smith, and he goes all the way, 39 yards for the go-ahead score. The Bills scored 20 points in a span of 1:33, and they beat the Broncos 29-28. Joining us live now from Denver is the head coach of the Broncos, Dan Reeves. He's had his team in the AFC Championship game 4 of the last 6 years. Is last year's game a positive for you because of the fact that you played well in Buffalo, well enough to win, or is it a negative because of the way it turned out?
Well, I don't know, but I didn't know I was going to come down here, Bob, to be on this thing live, to have to look at the worst part of our season last year. But there's no question. We were getting ready to go up by 15 with about 9 or 10 minutes to go in the game and felt like we had the ball game under control. And they made 2 key plays that turned the game around, really turned our season around. So, you know, that's something we like to forget about. But I do think it's a learning experience. Playing in Buffalo is, I think the real key is our ability offensively to handle the crowd noise. And defensively, we just got our work cut out for us because they've averaged over 44 points in the last 3 playoff games.
What a tremendous difference today's outcome means for you. Not only would you be home and favored against Kansas City, but you've got the travel day mixed in and really additional preparation because this is a team you haven't met since last year, whereas Kansas City is in your division. You've played them and beaten them twice this year.
Well, we're just glad to be in the game, Bob. It's an opportunity for us. We've come a long ways. We're looking forward to the challenge. This is a very mature Buffalo team. They're playing extremely well right now. We have confidence in our abilities. Now we have to go up and play well in a tough situation.
We had John Elway on the pregame show, and he gave us his perspective on that last drive. Tell us what was going through your mind, tactically and then also emotionally, as you watched him do it again, come up with so many big plays in the clutch.
Well, John never ceases to amaze me. You don't see that situation where you go 98 yards with no timeouts with 2 minutes and 7 seconds to go. It won't happen many times, but John just has tremendous athletic abilities. You can see he scrambles out of the pocket here to his left, picks up Vance Johnson on the run, and hits Vance and puts us in field goal range right there. And I think that's the big difference in John Elway and a lot of quarterbacks that scramble. John doesn't scramble to look to run. He scrambles and looks to try to find someone open. It really puts a lot of pressure on the defensive secondary.
You had no timeouts left, but you caught a break in a strange way when your own Michael Young was hurt before a 4th and 6. They ran 10 seconds off, but the clock was stopped for a long time. And then Houston called a timeout of their own on 4th and 10, the play just prior to the Vance Johnson catch that set up the field goal. So were you able to talk with Elway during that period of time, and what did you decide to do in each of those cases?
Well, the Michael Young thing was a break for us, so it only cost us 10 seconds, and it would have cost us probably more than that had we had to line up. But then that 4th down, when they did call a timeout, we were able to change plays, and of course, that's a play where John came out of the pocket and found Vance Johnson. I don't know that the timeout made any difference, but at least we were a little bit better organized because of that situation.
You changed from what to what?
Well, we changed from a play that we hadn't talked about to a play we at least had talked about and what the possibilities were, so that John was sure that it was a play that he wanted and had confidence in.
One last thing before we let you go, Dan, and we really appreciate you taking your time out here to be with us. Michael Young was hurt toward the end of the game. Keith Karts, the center, played only to snap on the Treadwell winning field goal, and Wyman Henderson, your defensive back, was hurt. What are the status of those players?
Well, Michael Young looked very good today, and we think he's going to be okay. Keith Karts is probably the one that we won't know until later in the week because the thigh muscle is very difficult to see exactly how much it's going to improve. Wyman Henderson should be ready to play. I thought he was very close, you know, as to being ready yesterday, but I think with the extra week, he will be ready to go.
Dan, thanks a lot for being with us. We'll see you next Sunday in Buffalo.
Okay, great, Bob. Thank you.
Okay, Dan Reeves of the Broncos. Quick thought?
Interesting. I think the first thing that Dan mentioned was the crowd noise in Buffalo. And retrospectively now, 4 or 5 plays in the Kansas City game with Buffalo, were determined by the crowd noise. False starts offensively for Kansas City. Key situations, 1st and goal. They had the ball on the 1 yard line. They got a false start. A couple of times defensively. Key 3rd downs. Kansas City's offside, voice inflection, whatever it is. It's a little bit of a problem there, and it's interesting that was the first thing that he mentioned.
Willie?
Well, the question coming out of today's game you have to ask, is this the Buffalo defense? You know, their weakness is supposed to be that you can run the ball on them. Kansas City has an outstanding running game, one of the best in the league. They only had 77 yards and 24 tries today. If they can stuff the run that well, they can beat anybody.
A couple of quick stats. Vlasic was intercepted 4 times all in the second half. Kelly 3 TDs, 3 INTs. Thurman Thomas exactly 100 yards on 22 carries. And we're back with Paul McGuire talking with Cornelius Bennett of the Bills right after this.
Ever wonder why your face hurts after you shave? It's simple. When you shave, you lose face, because you strip away the moisture that's there to protect it, and that hurts. But now you can start saving face with new conditioning hydrogel from Allspice. Used every day, it adds moisture and keeps it there to help defend against the assault of shaving, so your face feels and stays that way. So why lose face? Use new conditioning hydrogel and start saving face.
You know what's smart? This Magnavox digital CD shelf system that's incredibly powerful, compact, but what's really smart is this Magnavox 8mm Easy Cam that weighs less than 2 pounds. But what's really brilliant is this 13-inch TV with a built-in VCR. But what's ingenious is this 31-inch with a smart window that lets you see other channels and swap the picture. You know what's smart? This Magnavox digital CD... Again. Go away.
The ingenious products from Magnavox. They're smart, very smart.
Case of mistaken identity, not Paul McGuire, but his lookalike, O.J. Simpson, set to do the interview. And not just with Cornelius Bennett, but Jim Kelly has joined them. Take it away, Juice.
Well, I'm here with certainly the game's most valuable players. Cornelius, you played maybe one of the best games I've seen you ever play. What was the difference between this game and the last time you guys played Kansas City?
Well, first of all, they said we couldn't run. I mean, they could run on us all day. And during the week, somehow or the other, I just got left out of all the press. You know, everybody was concerned about what Derek Thomas and Bruce Smith and those guys were going to do, and nobody mentioned my name, so I just had an extra incentive to go out and play my butt off.
Well, defensively, they had an excuse in Kansas City because of Wright and because Smith wasn't playing. But offensively, you guys didn't have an excuse. What was the difference this game and that game?
Well, the big difference, without a doubt, was the offensive line. Last time, they had some pressure. It's hard to really contain Derek Thomas all the time because he is a heck of a ball player. But today, I think our offensive line was determined to not only open the running game, but give me time to throw. And without a doubt, the key was the offensive line today.
Well, I'm sure you were watching the game yesterday. You had a chance to look at John Elway and the Broncos. Your thoughts on the Broncos next week?
Well, you know, they came back second half, and they just turned the game around. He's playing Super Bowl, and we just got to try to contain him and not let him get down the field.
Jim, the Broncos defense.
Well, they're tough. This is a game we're playing at home again. I'm looking forward to it. It was a tough one today. Just hopefully get everybody healthy and look forward to that one next week. We've got 2 more to go and take one at a time.
Well, you guys had a good year. I mean, you won 13 games in the regular season, but you didn't appear to be the dominating team that you were last year. Are you a better football team right now than you were last year?
I think we are. I think when we have people healthy, we can just go for it. And I'm very happy with what we've done so far. And some people may or may not say we are, but if we go on to the big one, who can stop us?
No, you guys ready for the big one defensively?
We're ready to go, but we got to contain Denver first.
Okay. Bob?
All right, thanks a lot, Juice. By the way, we just got a call from Danny Sheridan, the USA Today odds maker. He has installed Buffalo early as a 10.5-point favorite at home over Denver in the AFC title game.
I think if you're Marv Levy and the Buffalo coaching staff, Bob, you got to be very happy with what happened today. If they'd drawn a script to start the game, how they wanted it to go, 7-0, 14-17, just progressive, nice, sustained control of the game all the way. You know, they're in perfect shape, and I'm sure they feel like they're playing optimum football right now, and that it's going to be tough for Denver to come in there and beat them.
I think a key will be what Wade Phillips, the Broncos defensive coordinator, does with Thurman Thomas. Kansas City came in today and said, Marty said it in the pregame show, we're going to stop Thurman Thomas. They really couldn't do it. And now I think the key to success in beating Buffalo really is trying to take him out of the game.
All right, we're going to step aside here for just a second. When we come back, Paul McGuire will, in fact, rejoin us as he talks with his old Buffalo teammate, Marty Schottenheimer, who walks away disappointed as the Kansas City coach today.
That was then. This is now. Odor prevention then. odor prevention now. Introducing the pump deodorant from Old Spice. It beats the leading aerosol deodorant. Actually prevents odor better with a superior formula that's right on target. Unlike that messy cloud. Pump up your odor prevention with the Old Spice pump.
My friend Al's having a big party to watch the big game. So I'm setting him up with some KFC Super Buckets. For just $9.99 each, he's getting 15-piece buckets, jumbo buckets of 36 hot wings, and variety buckets with 3 kinds of tasty chicken. I said, how are you going to carry all these? Oh, maybe that's why I'm invited.
The KFC Super Buckets, just $9.99. Get them in Lake Edna or your neck of the woods.
This winter, sports' biggest stars are on NBC. Michael leads the world champs against Isaiah and the Pistons. Detroit heads to Boston to battle Larry Bird and the Celtics. A rematch of last year's NBA Finals as the Bulls take on the Lakers. And a day of shooting stars at the All-Star Game. The NBA's just beginning on NBC. Come fly with us.
Late stages of the game, Marv Levy receiving instructions on the sideline. First a handshake, and then Leonard Smith will show him how to erase the tomahawk chop, which the Chiefs use from time to time as a rallying cry this past season. So you see Marv Levy happy in victory, a step away from a return to the Super Bowl. And moments ago, Paul McGuire talked with Marty Schottenheimer, as always gracious, despite today's defeat. Here's that conversation.
Well, here we go. Marty, obvious question. You got a young football team, and running the ball is your forte, but are you going to have to get a quarterback?
Well, you know, the thing that obviously hurt us today was the same thing that hurt Buffalo when they were in Kansas City, turnovers. You can't turn the ball over in this league against any good football team, Paul. It happened to us today like it happened in Kansas City 9-10 weeks ago, and it's always going to get you.
Well, you know they're going to be asking you now. You got a 37-year-old quarterback, DeBerg, and another 28-year-old quarterback, Vlasic. But do you go out? Were you looking last year for a quarterback?
Not particularly, but clearly we need a younger one. I mean, a 37-year-old quarterback, we need a younger one.
Yeah, you sure don't need a 37-year-old linebacker. That's like you or me. But when you look at this offseason and you're going to take some time off, what is your first priority?
You know, Paul, we really haven't gotten involved with it. I really don't know. Certainly quarterback would be a position given Steve's age. But at this point in time, we really haven't had an occasion to talk about it.
Marty, thanks for everything, man.
Happy New Year, Paul.
All right, Schottenheimer with McGuire. What do you think they need to go to the next level?
Well, I'll tell you, I think they took a little step a little further this year. I think they had a little better football team this year than they had last year. I think Marty's done a good job with their franchise. I think they have to start thinking about the secondary. You know, Duron, Cherry, some of those guys are not getting any younger. That's one spot, and obviously the quarterback. And as Bill Walsh had mentioned in the telecast, they do have some tradable guys because they have 3 strong running backs, and they would bring something.
Yeah, Koya, Word, and the rookie Harvey Williams, all impressive and all would have value.
Well, if DeBerg doesn't retire and he gets healthy, he'll be the starting quarterback at the start of next season. You're not going to bring somebody new in and let him take over the system right now when you have a team that has a chance to contend in the playoffs.
All right, we've got to step aside one more time. We're back to wrap things up right after this.
Ever wonder why your face hurts after you shave? It's simple. When you shave, you lose face because you strip away the moisture that's there to protect it, and that hurts. But now you can start saving face with new conditioning hydrogel from Allspice. Used every day, it adds moisture and keeps it there to help defend against the assault of shaving, so your face feels and stays that way. So why lose face? Use new conditioning hydrogel and start saving face.
It was just another Saturday afternoon until those old guys came out of the woods with axes. Just when we thought it couldn't get any weirder, it did. They even brought their own music.
Awesome! Hey, fellas, how about a cold bud?
A bud? Obviously, we thought alike.
Oh, that's cold.
Dear USA, there is a city where marketplaces are full of wonders, where giants play, troubadours entertain, and elves dance. A magical city where the friends you make are friends for life. It's Barcelona. It's in Spain.
before we say so long, you wanted to follow up on the point that Paul McGuire was talking with Schottenheimer about, because teams get into that limbo situation when the rest of the team is coming along and you got to make a quarterback decision.
Well, you know, you're building your team. The rest of the players are like ready to win. You have enough guys in place to do it, and then you're faced with a quarterback transition right at that time. Sometimes it takes a little while to get the quarterback acclimated and in and adjusted to the system, and it sets the franchise back a little bit while the other guys are primed and ready. So it's a dilemma, and I'm sure Kansas City will have to think about that.
All right, we got a timing problem of our own right here because it's time to say so long. We will see you next Sunday from Buffalo. We'll take the program up there to do NFL Live from the site at 12 Eastern Time as the Bills go against the Broncos. Now, a reminder that next Saturday, we've got college basketball from Madison Square Garden. It starts at 1:30 Eastern Time, North Carolina against Notre Dame. That's followed by the Kodak Hula Bowl, the annual showcase for top college seniors. Then, as I said, Sunday, NFL Live at 12 noon Eastern Time. O.J. will have a feature on Jim Kelly spending much time with his family. O.J. will get the inside word from his mom and dad and from Jim himself. And then it's the Bills and the Broncos for a berth in Super Bowl 26. Now here's the lineup on NBC tonight. Erie, Indiana, the Torkelsons, Hot Country Nights, and the world premiere movie In the Arms of a Killer. Ooh, it sounds almost too chilling. For Will McDonough, Bill Parcells, O.J. Simpson, Paul McGuire, Dick Enberg, and Bill Walsh, Bob Costas. Good night.
Coming up on Primetime, which two teams would reach for the sky and reach the Super Bowl? Would it be Buffalo running roughshod all over their rich stadium Stampede ground? Or would it be Denver getting in their kicks, stopping the Bills in their tracks? Would it be Washington slamming their way back to the Super Bowl for Joe Gibbs' 4th appearance? Or would it be thumbs up for Detroit, dancing through RFK to a huge upset? 2 tickets to paradise, available next on NFL Primetime. Again, everybody, welcome to Championship Sunday Primetime. I'm Chris Berman, and joining me, we had some interesting parties today. Interested slightly in the AFC game, Tom Jackson, slightly in the NFC game, Joe Theismann. 2 tickets have been awarded to Paradise. Now, wait a minute, what's that?
This is, I have so much confidence in the Redskins, I went out and got my tickets.
Already?
My tickets to Minneapolis. I'm ready to go.
The nerve of some guys. All right, well, you wait your turn. You wait your turn. That was the second game today. Let's start with the first game today, the AFC Championship game between the Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos. Think of all the offensive juggernauts you had on this field. I mean, Jim Kelly, Thermal Thomas, not to mention Andre Reed, James Lofton, John Elway, his band of receivers. Well, now that I've said all that, who would have believed that the only 2 guys to reach the end zone today were Carlton Bailey and Gary Kubiak? That's why they play these silly games. Orchard Park, New York, where the Bills are 33 through the last 4 years. Honorary Captain O.J. Simpson against your former teammate Randolph Charles Gradishar. And Gradishar would have loved hits like this by land and by sea and by air. It was a defensive struggle. Nobody played better than Cornelius Bennett. Biscuit. Watch as Elway steps up in the rush. And who was there? Number 97, Cornelius Bennett. And then Bruce Smith got in the act, Tommy.
Yeah, you see the full package he offers, the speed here as he goes around Harvey Salem, and then the strength bringing John Elway down with one hand.
Scoreless first quarter. Early second now. First attempt for the 35. Play action. Elway going deep for Vance Johnson. It's picked off by Kirby Jackson at the 2. Or is it, Tom? Not. Well, you say no. Why don't we ask the man, the only man that can truly determine it?
After further review, we have a reversal. The pass was incomplete.
So the pass was incomplete. So we know it's second down because that was the first. No, it's 4th down. No, it's first down. No, wait a minute. No, it's 4th down. No, Dan knows it's second down. No, guys, is it 3rd down? Hey, guys.
It'll be second down, 10.
I have a 6-year-old daughter that could have figured it out faster than that officiating crew. Wade Phillips did a great job on his defense today. Watch DS. Dennis Smith punish Thurman Thomas. And Steve Atwater, the other Pro Bowl safety, nails James Lofton. Now watch Ron Holmes deflect the pass, and a nose tackle played a great game, Greg Cragen.
We always wanted to switch Cragen to wide receiver.
Well, now Dan has something to think about in the offseason. Big plays taken away. Elway tried the little passes. Steve Sewell had a big game. Caught 7 passes for 78 yards, including this one for 21 yards. Then Elway again dumps to Sewell. He has a convoy running deep into Buffalo territory. Denver was in Buffalo territory often in the first half. However, Dan Reeves watched David Treadwell star in the role of Scott Norwood. It is no good from 47. From 42, it is doink. And from 37, it is doink. Denver has seen field goals hit uprights in big games before. Treadwell's 3 missed field goals kept the score scoreless at the end of the first half. Ominous skies. Second play of the third quarter, a critical play. Elway forced to run. Dr. Sack Leon Seals falls on his leg. Came up sore with a bruised thigh. So on the sidelines, the veteran Gary Kubiak had to warm up, and Elway stayed in for a while. Second and 10 from the 19. Back to pass. No, it's deflected by Jeffrey. Carlton Bailey gets it. He escapes Elway's tackle. It's a touchdown. And the Bills have struck. It's 7-0. And why did Elway throw the ball, Joe?
Well, they couldn't do it on offense, Chris. So they're doing it on defense. This time, Jeff Wright got fooled before on the middle screen. He says, watch this. He goes right by Dave Waddell. He makes the move inside. Aha! You think you got me? No, you don't. It's a screen. I got you. Carl, you take it. You go. John, you can't catch him. Yes! Touchdown!
So calm down during these highlights.
Elway was not able to continue. He had to leave, 11 for 21.
So out of the veteran Gary Kubiak to Ricky Nattil at the 30, and it's a bubble. But the Bills recover it, or do they, Joe? They got the replay.
We have instant replay. No, we don't have a review. Why do we even have instant replay?
The drive continues. Calm down, Joe. Kubiak to Shanachuk, pretty looking pass. 13 yards and a first down. 4th and 11 to Michael Young. It's 10 yards, but the Bills take over on downs. Jim Kelly struggled all day. His favorite receiver, Keith McKellar, caught 3 from the tight end spot. This is a 28-yarder, and now it sets up guy who's been Mr. Reliable in these playoffs, Scott Norwood. 4 for 4 for field goals, and it's a lead for the Buffalo Bills of 10-0, the 44-yard field goal. Kubiak undaunted, Vance Johnson at midfield. Then with 2 minutes to go on 2nd and 5, Kubiak to Johnson. He intercepts a pass. It looks like it's intended for Michael Young. Good thing they're both on the Broncos. Once again, Kubiak to Johnson, and it's 7 yards. Next play, number 8 calls his own number, and number 8 gets 6. The extra point makes it a 10-7 game, under 2 minutes to go. You know what's coming. Could Kubiak pull a John Elway? Here's the onside kick. And what an onside kick it is, and Steve Atwater recovers for Denver. They're in business. Minute 38 to go. They trail at 10-7. Harv knows what's facing him. But on the first play, Kubiak, Steve Sewell, it's a fumble. Kirby Jackson forces it and recovers it, and the Bills are saved.
Yeah, Steve Sewell's done an outstanding job of running after he's made the catch. Here he doesn't really have a chance to turn and plant himself. Kirby Jackson makes the hit and the fumble. Unfortunate for Sewell because he's had an outstanding playoff series, Chris.
Denver would have one last shot, although they would have to go just about the length of the field in a matter of seconds. There's one pass with 9 seconds to go. Kubiak, he needs John's cannon here. Doesn't have it. Throws to midfield to Vance Johnson. His 8th catch for 104 yards, but it's over. Barb Levy going to the Super Bowl 2nd straight year. Steve Sewell thinking about what might have been. Gary Kubiak starred in his final game. And Carlton Bailey, the unlikeliest of heroes for the Buffalo Bills, who didn't look pretty on offense, but got it done at Rich Stadium. They have defeated the Denver Broncos 10-7 to win their 2nd straight AFC championship. After the game, Andrea Kramer with one of the unlikeliest of heroes.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Along with the offensive hero of this game, what are you doing scoring offensive touchdowns? Actually, Carlton Bailey, they call you Mongo because you're supposed to have such terrible hands. What are you doing getting into the end zone with an interception for a touchdown?
I grabbed, I couldn't believe I had it. And then after that, the only thing I was thinking about was getting into the end zone. I knew that if I was allowed John Elway to tackle me, there'd be no way I could come back into this locker room because the guys would say, how in the world could you let a quarterback tackle you? So the only thing I was thinking about was really getting into the end zone.
I'm as disappointed as that as I didn't make the tackle because our defense has been playing so well that, no telling. I don't know where we were, 14, 15-yard line, somewhere in there, that if I could have made the tackle, no telling what would have happened.
We expected to come in here and win. We felt that Houston was better, than Buffalo, and I'll say it now. We felt Houston was going to be our toughest game. We got past Houston, we would beat Buffalo. We always play well against Buffalo. We match up well, and I still feel the same way.
You do miss them sometimes. Nobody's perfect. As much as you try or strive for perfection in practice, you're not perfect. You're human.
We do have some unfinished business coming off the field. Just thought about how great a chance, God gave us to get back in the Super Bowl. And I won't smile until after the game over a couple of weeks from now.
The difference, we told you in the first half that Denver lived in Buffalo territory all 6 times they had the ball. They were in Bills territory. The bad news, 3 times they had to punt. 3 times, normally pretty reliable, Treadwell missed field goals. So after all that, they couldn't outlast the Bills at Rich Stadium. And I'll say this bluntly as I can. The Denver Broncos, in my opinion, outplayed the Buffalo Bills. But at Rich Stadium, Joe, they had to more than just outplay them.
Well, there wasn't any question, Chris. I mean, we saw the statistics were lopsided, everything else was. But the fact is, in any game, not just big games or playoff games, you cannot forego scoring opportunities. By missing all 3 of those field goals, whether they're early in the game or late in the game, it changes your approach at the end. Kubiak only would have had to complete enough passes to get Treadwell within range to kick a winning field goal, not just a tying field goal, had they had a few other points.
Yeah, and Chris, Joe, most games, and I say, yes, right, and I say most games are determined by great defense and turnovers, and both teams today played great defense. The one concern of Dan Reeves was we can't turn the ball over deep in our own territory. Not only did the Broncos turn it over, but it resulted in a touchdown by Carlton Bailey.
And we saw it in both games, Guy. You really had to outplay drastically your opponent at Rich Stadium and at RFK. Denver outplayed the Bills. I mean, they held them to only 213 yards. But in the end, it was not quite enough. They held them out of the end zone. That's not much more that defense can do. But Buffalo plays some defense, too, and that's why they're moving on. A couple of numbers to look at. The Broncos have come up short last 2 times in close games at Rich Stadium. 29-28 in the regular season last year, 10-7 today. Look at the total yards in the 2 games. Denver does play Buffalo tough, but defense and special teams have been the difference. The big plays have been turned in by the Buffalo Bills. When we return, we've got stuff on the second game, of course, and a closer look at the Buffalo defense, which is now in high gear.
NFL Prime Time is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you, friends know when to say when.
Back on Prime Time, we'll look at the Skins and Lions in a moment, but back to the AFC game. You know, guys, the Bills came in with the top-rated offense in pro football and number 27 rank in defense, but as they go to the Super Bowl, Tommy, it's the defense that's front and center.
Yeah, Chris, credit to Marv Levy and Ted Marchibroda for putting together one of the great offenses in this league. But again, I think what we found out in that AFC Championship game, great defense is what wins those championships. Something that was very subtle all day. When you're in the other guy's stadium and that noise is there, here you see Dave Weidel, Jeff right in front of him. All day long, the Buffalo Bills were able to get off the ball defensively a little bit quicker than the Bronco offensive line realized that ball is being snapped. Right here, you see Jeff Wright is up out of his stance and around Dave Weidel before he even realizes the fact that, hey, the ball has been snapped, and I think that was one of the keys today.
Well, the other thing was, Tommy, is last week when you watched the Atlanta Falcon-Washington Redskin game, you could see physically the clumps of dirt come up and the mud flying all over the place. The footing was bad. But subtly in this game on AstroTurf, you don't see the problems on the field, but watch the footing of Thurman Thomas. He runs left, tries to cut back, falls down. Vance Johnson on a reverse. Now he's running along. He isn't tripped. He just flat slips and slides along the turf. Thurman Thomas again, stop, wait, I can't cut back. That was, I think, a very big factor in this game today. What happened is they couldn't get their footing. Guys like Thurman Thomas and Gaston Green, they had no opportunity to cut, plant, and go anywhere.
You know, if you're a good team, you don't have bad games on one side of the ball very often. But if you're a good team, you get through them. Last week, Denver played poorly on defense, but Elway pulled it out of the bag. This time, Buffalo played poorly on offense. Credit a lot to Denver's D, but they win. You don't think they're going to have a bad offensive game the next time, no matter what you might say, Joe. Now, of course, today, the offense really struggled. As we go inside the numbers, you'll find that the Buffalo Bills, which averaged almost 400 yards a game during the 16 regular season games and their playoff win against the Chiefs, today amassed only 213. Hats off to the Broncos but hats off to the Bills to be resilient enough to keep moving forward. They vow that won't happen again. When we return, the posse striding to move ahead of the Lions and onto the Super Bowl. Stay with us.
The way to not is loaded with all-stars in 2 classic postseason games. Saturday, the Scouts are out looking for the best stuff at the Senior Bowl. And Sunday, it's the East-West Shrine Classic, all live on ESPN.
Welcome back to Primetime. Joe Gibbs has never lost an NFC title game at RFK Stadium. The Washington Redskins have never lost to the Detroit Lions at RFK Stadium. Long odds facing the Lions. But then again, they've beaten some awfully long odds all year. They've won 7 in a row, thinking of their teammate Mike Utley. Thumbs up all the way, and everybody inspired by the Lions. But the Redskins inspired too. Wilbur Marshall and the national defense trying to shackle Barry Sanders, and last week's 300-yard passer Eric Kramer. Joe Gibbs knew he had to get to Kramer early, and guess what? First play from scrimmage. The sack by Charles Mann. Fred Stokes recovered, so already they're right in on the youngster.
Yeah, Charles Mann comes with a strong rush, and this is something that Kramer did not see all week long against the Dallas Cowboys last weekend.
So the Skins get the gift. One running play by Biner to the 1. Gerald Riggs into the end zone. Minute 6 into the game, it's 7-0. Wayne Fonse's Lions could not afford this sort of start. It got worse. Kurt Govea picks off Kramer on the second possession. And he runs all the way down to the 10-yard line. This led to a Chip Low-Miller field goal. The Lions stiffen, but 2 possessions, and they're down 10-0. Fonz trying to tell Kramer to hang cool. Marshall sacks Kramer. It's a pebble. It's a pileup. Al Boyd Mays. Theodore. Simon. Al Boyd. Al Boyd. Come on back. We're ruled. It's Lions ball. The whistle blew. Come on back. It's not a touchdown. Although Mays and the Skins thought they had a 17-0 lead. Finally, Barry Sanders gets going.
Yeah, Barry Sanders showing you what he can do once he makes that cut. And here you see him going right, reversing field. This is just a 6-yard gain, but it's as pretty a 6-yard gain as you'll ever see, Chris.
It's the best 6-yard gain in the history of professional football, Tom. That enabled the Lions to protect Kramer a little bit, give him time, and Kramer hits his big receiver, Willie Green, for 9 yards. Then we begin the second quarter. And when Kramer or Rodney Peete hit Willie Green for a touchdown, the Lions have been 8-0 thus far. So it's a touchdown. It's 10-7, Joe.
Martin Mayhew this time failed to get back and bump him initially on the line of scrimmage, allowing Green to get behind him for the TD.
But Washington comes right back. Gerald Riggs goes in from 3 yards out. A pretty block by Russ Grimm, and quickly to 10-point lead, 17-7. Kramer going to the end zone for Herman Moore, but E.J. Johnson knocks it away. Wayne Fonse has to settle for an Eddie Murray field goal. Only 17-10 at the half. The Lions hanging top. Second half, though, ripping. Gary Clark, 45 yards, zip. It's a touchdown. Quickly, it's 27-10. You knew it was only a matter of time before the Redskins go for the jugular. Rip to Art Monk. Touchdown. 21 yards, 34-10. Rip only threw the ball 17 times. 12 of them were completions. You saw the 2 TDs, 228 yards. And with Kramer back on the bench and the youngster Andre Ware in, well, he didn't exactly show his wares, did he? Darrell Green, who was injured earlier, then came back to play. The fastest man in football, forget it. You're not going to catch him. Touchdown, 41-10. Jack Kent Cook's Skins are celebrating. Hail to the Redskins. That's what they're singing. Joe Gibbs gets the shower, going back to the Super Bowl for the 4th time. A gutty Lions team. Ray Crockett and company see their 7-game winning streak end. Ron Middleton, Skins, Super Bowl bound. They douse the Detroit Lions 41-10 as Monk and Clark combined for 9 receptions. The big second half for the Skins. Afterwards, Gary Clark spoke about his quarterback.
Guys, he's had a great year. He had another great game. Every pass he threw was on line, on target. The guy's in control. He runs the show when he's out there. He's comfortable out there. When Rip's in charge, we know we're okay, and he was having another great game today.
We just came out. We were able to run the ball a little bit, shoot some time off the clock, and I tell you what, that run and shoot is something. It's hard it's hard to stop that, and I thought our defense did a heck of a job.
They have a good team, and, hey, I tell you what, their 12th man is just as loud as ours. It made a big difference, so I think the theme of next year for us will be the get home field advantage. It really shows, and they have a class act. I like their team.
And so do the Detroit Lions, Lomas and company. They are a class act. All of our hats off to them. But, Tommy, Washington's like a machine, aren't they?
Well, I certainly think when you look at how balanced they are offensively and defensively, they're going to be hard to handle in the Super Bowl. I thought that they missed Jerry Ball when you think about the running that the Washington Redskins did. I also thought that when you thought about what they did as far as not making a mistake during the course of the day, you have to play mistake-proof ball when you come into the playoffs. And Mark Rippon, this was like 7-on-7 for him because he had no pressure from that 3-4 defense.
TJ, you hit the nail on the head. Mark Rippon is the key to this entire offense. The Washington Redskin offense, going back 10 years when I had a chance to start under Joe Gibbs, is geared around what the quarterback can do. I have never seen anybody throw the ball deep as well as Mark Rippon. I had a chance to watch practice a few weeks ago. He put on an aerial show at practice. It hasn't stopped, and I really don't expect it to stop.
We said it during the highlights. The Skins, they don't fool around. They have a chance to get rid of you. They get rid of you, as they did to the Detroit Lions today. We don't fool around either here at Game Day because we're already ready. This is the Super Bowl matchup. There it is. Yeah, I know you picked them in August, Joe. This is your T-shirt, your sweatshirt. The Bills against the Washington Redskins. And if you don't like it there, look at it there. There it is. The last time they played was the last game of the regular season a year ago. Kelly didn't play. Frank Reich did. The Skins won at RFK 29-14. The Skins have won 2 Super Bowls in strike years. They've lost 2 Super Bowls in non-strike year. This is a non-strike year. I'm just offering that out as a statistic. And if you're looking for an offensive show in the indoor track in the Homer Dome, this might be it. Bills ranked time players. We'll be back with a thought on Super Bowl 26 in a moment.
NFL Prime Time is brought to you by United. Come fly the airline that's uniting the world. Come fly the friendly skies.
Move those goalposts, will you please? Our Sports Center coverage from the Super Bowl in Minneapolis. Remember, there's an off week this year. It begins a week from today. And about noontime on the Sports Center, Sunday, January 19th. We'll be here in Minneapolis and beyond. Washington Redskins, very early 6-point favorites over the Buffalo Bills. Bills were about a 6-point favorite last year. Didn't like the role as a favorite. Now they get to try as a dog, Tom.
Love the psychology of Joe Gibbs. We're afraid. We don't really want to be there. I think he wants to be there. It's going to be a scoring fest.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be there. He's got no choice. He's going. And so are we. We going.
We love that choice. It's going to be a great game. We've known this since early September. These look like the teams that were going to the Super Bowl. It is Washington Buffalo. Congratulations for Joe and Tom. And for our director, Martha Walker, I'm Chris Berman. See you.
Look at the NFL in another edition of the longest-running cable series, Inside the NFL, next on HBO. Simply the best choice on TV, HBO.
Washington Redskins made their reservations for the Super Bowl early, but Buffalo needed a tip at the right time inside the NFL.
I'm Lisa Burkhardt. On this week's